grid now begins to move off of pit road and onto the racetrack for a couple of warm-up laps before the start of this afternoon's event. Well, let's take a look more closely at this track that they'll be competing on here this afternoon. It is a 1-mile dogleg oval with the pole lap time at 20.882 seconds and the speed at 124.645 miles an hour. We'll go 312 laps, and they'll be able to go 90 to 95 laps before having to come in for a fuel stop. Now let's take a look at the starting lineup for today's race. Starting on the pole in car number 25, his 4th pole of the year from Fenton, Missouri, is Ken Schrader in the Folgers Coffee Chevrolet. Outside, his best start of the year, Terry Labonte from Corpus Christi in the number 11 Budweiser Ford. In the second row, it'll be Alan Kulwicki, the defending champion of this race, in the number 7 Xerox Ford, and Derek Cope from Spanaway, Washington alongside. The third row has Bobby Hamilton that Jerry Punch told you about, car 51, and Mark Martin, number 6. The fourth row, Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Bodine. Row number 5, Rusty Wallace and Dick Trickle. The sixth row, Ricky Rudd and Larry Pearson. Going to row number 7, it's Bill Elliott and Davey Allison. Rick Wilson and Darrell Waltrip make up row number 8. In the ninth row, Morgan Shepherd and Harry Gant. Row number 10, Sterling Marlin and Butch Miller. And as you look at the rest of the starting lineup, notice also the incredible crowd here this afternoon. The last year's exceeded about 60,000, and it's going to be more than that here this afternoon. There's the rest of the starting lineup in today's race, 43 cars strong.
And certainly we should see some great racing here this afternoon, Bob. It's tough to pass on this racetrack. They have to really work at it to get around the car, but if you have a good handling race car, that is the key here.
The number 33 car, driven by Harry Gant. He'll be carrying one of our in-car cameras this afternoon. There's a good look at Harry as he gets set to take the green flag for competition. We also have an in-car camera in the Quaker State Buick to be driven by Ricky Rudd. You can see Rusty Wallace just ahead in the Kodiak Pontiac and Dick Trickle to the outside. And Mark Martin will also be carrying one of our cameras in the Stroh's Light Ford. So 3 camera cars for you this afternoon as we get set, and also the side cam that's given us some incredible shots throughout the Winston Cup season. There's the crowd. It's on its feet, waving as the field comes off of corner number 4. The green is out. The race is on. Ken Schrader leads down the backstretch.
Alan Kulwicki trying to make a move on Terry Labonte going into turn 3, but I don't believe it'll work.
All 43 cars are through the first lap in good shape as Ken Schrader leads this race with Terry Labonte running second, Alan Kulwicki in third. Fourth is Derek Cope, then Mark Martin in fifth, and Dale Earnhardt, followed by Bobby Hamilton, who slipped to 7th position. Here they come off of corner number 4 once again to complete lap number 2. Ken Schrader shows the way. Here's Terry Labonte looking to the inside as they come down the straightaway, but falling in behind Schrader.
Labonte is getting to the corners extremely well early on in the race. There we see Rusty Wallace, a 109-point lead for the Winston Cup, battling Dick Trickle.
That's for 10th position as Trickle in the number 84 car has the outside line and Rusty Wallace has the inside line. And here is the action from the perspective of Ricky Rudd. He has these 2 cars just ahead of him. He stays on the low side of the racetrack behind Rusty Wallace as they come off the corner once again. Side by side now, the number 5 car of Jeff Bodine, 3 abreast racing through there. That's Bobby Hamilton on the outside in number 51 and Rusty Wallace in number 27.
And Rusty Wallace desperately wants to get by him because Hamilton, a good race car driver, but very inexperienced.
And Dale Earnhardt is also showing some strength here. He has moved to 6th position and tries to position himself to the inside of that red and white number 10 car driven by Derek Cope. They're side by side through the first corner, and it appears as if Dale Earnhardt is going to move to 5th.
Boy, he drove that car deep into the turn. He was handling very good in the late practice here yesterday, and he's very confident about this race today, Bob. There we're looking out the back of Mark Martin, Stroh's Light Ford at Dale Earnhardt's Goodrich Chevrolet. Kowicki is able to get by the Terry Labonte car. That's for second spot. The red and white number 7, Alan Kowicki. Red and white 11, that's Terry Labonte. And Mark Martin, look, blue number 6 on the inside of Labonte.
He's trying to take over third position from Terry Labonte. Terry would like very much to have led a lap here, not only 5 bonus points, but he has not led a race since Richmond in September. He did not lead a lap as he was unable to take the lead away from Ken Schrader, and now has fallen back to 4th spot.
Looks like his car is moving up a little bit as he goes into the turns. We'll watch him when he goes into turn 1. He tries to keep it low on the racetrack, but see, it slipped up just a little bit there. Earnhardt almost got a nose under it, but couldn't quite do it that time.
There are the first 3. Ken Schrader, number 25. Alan Kowicki, number 7. And Mark Martin, number 6. Kowicki, the defending champion of this event. His first and only Winston Cup race victory came a year ago. And now from inside Mark Martin's car once again.
Here's Kowicki on the inside of Schrader going down in turn 1.
Let's see how they come out of corner 1. They go in side by side. Schrader is on the high side and Alan Kowicki on the low side. And they're still side by side through the dogleg on the backstretch. Now here comes Mark Martin up to take second position, or to try to take second away from Ken Schrader, as Kowicki now has the lead.
Well, I'll tell you, get on the outside. If somebody can get traction down on the inside, they can move around you. Schrader will be trying to get back on the inside. However, he's doing a pretty good job out there on the outside, but I don't think that's the fastest way around this racetrack at this point. Mark Martin trying to take up where he left off at Rockingham last week with a victory.
There are 4 cars running nose to tail, then a little bit of racetrack back to this second pack. Eric Cope, number 10, Terry Labonte, number 11, Jeff Bodine, number 5, and then Rusty Wallace in 27.
Boy, and this is one spot that Rusty Wallace does not want to be in. He would love to be in clear racetracks all by himself. He does not want to be in heavy traffic. As Ned and I mentioned at the top of the show, so many things can happen in this heavy traffic.
And Rusty Wallace wants to come out of this race with a situation in which he only has to start the race in Atlanta in 2 weeks to clinch the Winston Cup. But there are at least 2 other drivers that are going to try to prevent that from happening this afternoon: Dale Earnhardt and Mark Martin.
Well, Terry Labonte in car number 11 is going backwards, led by forward, as Derek Cook moves by on the outside, and now Jeff Bodine moves by on the outside.
Let's go to Jack Root with a comment on Terry Labonte.
Well, Bob, it's obvious that there's a problem with Labonte's car, but the crew here cannot find out what the problem is. They can talk to Terry Labonte, but he cannot talk to them. The radio is given out. It's only one-way communication, and it's the wrong way right now.
Well, there goes Ricky Rudd to the outside of Terry Labonte, and Labonte falls back to 8th, and now it appears as if Darrell Waltrip in car number 17 is going to take that position away. So indeed, things not going the way that Terry Labonte wants them to go as he gets the left side tires off the track momentarily.
And there's nothing worse than being out there with a problem as Labonte has and unable to tell the crew without the radio. Very agonizing thing Labonte is going through.
There is the leader, Alan Kowicki, as we have completed 12 laps out of 312 on a beautiful Sunday afternoon in the Valley of the Sun and Phoenix International Raceway. We're live for the Autoworks 500, and we will be right back. Back live at Phoenix International Raceway in race number 28 of the 29 Winston Cup season. Alan Kowicki, last Winston Cup win was here last year, 28 races ago. He's leading at the moment. As a matter of fact, has a fairly substantial now advantage over Mark Martin. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who has a comment on Alan.
Well, the car Alan Kowicki brought here to race was not one of his best race cars. In fact, he's run it 4 times this year. The car was brand new at Pierce Point, where he finished 36th. He ran the same car at Watkins Glen and finished 39th. He finished 26th at Martinsville, and of course 11th at Wilkesboro. He said, I said, why would you bring such a car here? He said, well, this car is going to work. I know it's going to work. We practice here. We've got a lot of confidence in it. If this car run anywhere, it'll run in Phoenix. And apparently, he was right.
Indeed, it's working well here in the first 17 laps of this event. Alan Kowicki has not had a particularly good season. He finds himself 15th in the point standings. His best finish of the year is second at Bristol.
Well, while those front two cars are pulling away, surprisingly, Bob, that they have pulled away that much. We've got a good battle going on for third place. That's Ken Schrader in car number 25. Dale Earnhardt trying to take it away.
Look at Earnhardt.
He drove her in hard. Now to give him a little kiss as he ran up the side of it.
And here comes the green. Quaker State good. Ricky Rudd on the move.
That's Schrader, Earnhardt, Cope, and Ricky Rudd. Rudd on the outside. Ken Schrader also on the outside. That's a great battle up there between Ken Schrader and Dale Earnhardt.
Well, I said at the top of the show that it's tough to pass on this racetrack, but they're proving that they can pass, and some of them with ease.
Third, fourth, and fifth right here. Now Ricky Rudd positions himself to the inside of Dale Earnhardt.
Does that picture remind you of anything, Bob? How about Wilkesboro a couple of weeks ago?
A few weeks ago. Who could forget that? They're side by side for fourth place through the dog leg. Now setting up for turn number 3. Rudd sticks his nose ahead of Earnhardt and takes away the position.
Wow, did you see him stick on the bottom of the racetrack up in that corner net? No one else is doing that. They're all going in the corner and letting the thing slide up.
Well, let's go to the pits of Dr. Jerry Punch here as a comment on Earnhardt.
You guys mentioned what happened at Wilkesboro a few weeks ago. This is the same car that Earnhardt had there. In fact, before the race, they were kidding, and Rusty Wallace pointed to the rear bumper of this car that had not been repainted since Wilkesboro. There is still some green paint there. They said, they asked Earnhardt, where did the green paint come from? He said, I'm not sure whether that's Kodiak green or Quaker State green, but you green guys will be all year long. He sort of laughed and walked away.
Well, he finds himself in 5th position at the moment. Dale Earnhardt, car number 3. Now here comes Derry Cope to the outside to number 10. But ahead of Dale Earnhardt, it is the number 26 of Rudd and the 25 of Ken Schrader that are battling for 3rd spot.
Schrader has some horsepower down the straightaway. Slips out a little bit in the turns, and here comes Rudd down on the inside. And as Benny mentioned, boy, that car's sticking down there. That'll work to his advantage as the race goes on.
Rudd ran so well here a year ago. He finished 26th, but that certainly isn't a reflection of how well he performed in the race. He did drop out with engine failure in the late going. Rudd was among those who were very capable of winning the race last year.
In fact, he made more laps than anyone else, a total of 182.
We're watching 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th on back. The first 2 cars have just taken off from everybody else. Alan Kulwicki is the leader at the moment, and Mark Martin is running 2nd. Then we go back to Ricky Rudd, Ken Schrader, Dale Earnhardt, and Derry Cope.
And Rudd already able to put about 10 or 15 car lengths on Schrader. Our pole sitter, Ken Schrader, as Jack LaRue mentioned, a chance to pick up a bonus of $197,600 if he can just win. Sounds easy, doesn't it?
Well, it hasn't been done since Rockingham. It's only been done 1 race this year. That was 3rd race of the season. And of course, if we go to Atlanta next week, the track has announced it will double that amount.
$410,000 to win the pole, win the race.
Not a bad payday.
Looky here, Richard Petty has caught the outside pole sitter, Terry Labonte. Richard Petty's running 14th, started 26th. Maybe the Kings got something going today, Ned.
Looks like it. I'll tell you, look at him dip down on the inside of the body as Michael Walker went around Terry Labonte. Richard Petty in the SDP Pontiac tries it down on the inside. Couldn't make it work that time, but yeah, he's going well. He has already passed Davey Allison. And a number of cars, of course, that started in front of him.
Terry Labonte continues to lose ground. That's Petty in 14th position. Terry Labonte started 2nd. Alan Kulwicki begins to move through some of the slower traffic. He passes the 09 car being driven by Roy Smith, one of the Winston West guys, and the 52 of Jimmy Means. And watch Alan Kulwicki come through the 4th corner.
Watch the 09 car, not Kulwicki. Watch the 09. He's on the bottom of the racetrack and gets the car sideways, almost gets up in the side of Jimmy Means.
Which could have knocked Means into Alan Kulwicki, but it didn't happen. Alan, that car is really working. We need to pull up on the outside of a couple other cars that way and move right on around.
The 09 car driven by Roy Smith. There are 4 Winston West competitors in this event here this afternoon, and Bill Schmidt, by virtue of the fact that he starts this race, wins the Winston West Championship over rookie Bill Sedgwick. There's the leader, Alan Kowicki, in the Xerox Ford, as we have completed now 27 laps. And we'll show you the top 10 as we take another break. We'll be back in just a moment with more from Phoenix International. Back at Phoenix International Raceway, there's the leader of the race, Alan Kowicki, car number 7. He has a rather comfortable lead at the moment over the number 6 car of Mark Martin. There are a couple of cars between the leader and second place Mark Martin. There he is, and he in turn has a very sizable advantage over the third place car, which is driven by Ricky Rudd. Here comes Kowicki out of corner number 4, and there's the interval between first and second position as Martin now passes some of the slower traffic. And coming off the 4th corner, just behind those 2 cars, will be the third place of Ricky Rudd. Those 2 are the ones that Alan Kowicki had problems passing in corner number 4 just a few laps ago. There's Rudd now moving to the inside of Jimmy Means in turn number 1 and putting a lap on Means.
Alan Kowicki has a fraction over 2 seconds on Mark Martin, which is a pretty good lead for 31 laps that they have run. Surprising that 1 or 2 or 3 cars in this case have pulled away from the rest of the field, and each of those cars have pulled away from each other.
Back now to 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, Schrader, Earnhardt, Cope, and Rusty Wallace, car number 27.
I'll tell you what, Derek Cope just went by Rusty Wallace on the outside with relative ease. I wonder, could Wallace have a problem, our Western Cup point leader? He was in front. He passed Derek Cope just a couple laps ago. At that time, Cope went by Rusty Wallace.
Well, you know, Rusty has a lot of strategy to plan because he is in contention for the Winston Cup. Do you race every race? Do you take it easy and just stroke it out there? Well, we asked several drivers what they would do if they were in Rusty's shoes.
I think Rusty, you know, everybody can tell him advice, but, you know, here he is in a position. He had to do something right to be in this position, but I believe I'd maybe have a little bit different strategy these last 2 races. I think Rusty's, he says, well, what got him here is charging and trying to lead all the laps. I think leading the race would be a very good place for him to be. Out front, try to get away from everybody. But if that's not possible, I think I'd find me a nice big hole to ride in, stay away from everybody, and win this championship.
I would play it the same way I'd be playing it. But if I was Rusty, I don't know how I'd play it.
I'd try to get that $1 million no matter what it took to get it. That's what I would do. If it meant lifting for 30,000, I mean for $1.5 million, leaving your foot down the throttle for 30, I'd take the $1.5 million.
I'd run hard, but I wouldn't get myself in any situation. I would try not to get myself in a situation where it could knock me out. I mean, that seems like a real simple statement, but I would sacrifice the 2 finishing positions instead of maybe doing a little something that was a little risky. I mean, he's got to finish the race.
I wouldn't make any mistakes. You know, he can say all he wants about charging. Actually, he's got enough room to gamble a little bit right now, but I'd wait 1 more race before I gamble.
It'll be kind of interesting to see how the guy that turned the heat up last year handles when he gets to Atlanta this year. Smart money says you play it conservative. Close to the cup. Don't take any chances.
Well, I think he's going to race and try to win. I would, but still you can't take the extra chances.
Man, I ain't going to do nothing no different. Run as hard as I can, wide open. Take it to the front, keep it there.
You know, Rusty said that Atlanta, he wants to cross the start-finish line with a checkered flag waving. All 4 tires smoking. Is that the way you want to do it?
No. That's not the way he's going to do it either.
A little difference of opinion there. Well, there is Rusty Wallace. He's dropped back a few positions here. The car just doesn't seem to be running right, does it?
I'm telling you, he's backing up.
Yep.
I don't know what the problem is, but he's backing up pretty serious.
I think they missed the setup a little bit, Benny. I don't think the car's handling the way that he needs for it to right at this point. While we were doing that little piece there a moment ago, Richard Petty pulled the STP Pontiac into the garage area and out of the race after having such a great early run here. Richard Petty is out of it.
Trying to find Dale Earnhardt. There he is in number 3. So Earnhardt has several positions ahead of Rusty Wallace.
Earnhardt right now is the 5th place car, and Rusty is probably about 9th or 10th, so got 5 spots on him.
Rusty leads by 148 points. All he has to do is start at Atlanta. If he leads by 148 after today, all he has to do is start Atlanta to clinch the title. There's the leader, Alan Kulwicki. 38 laps completed out of the 312.
Alan Kulwicki has almost a half lap on Ken Schrader, the third place car. But he's got to worry about Mark Martin and Ricky Rudd. Those two cars are in the same corner with him. Sterling Marlin and Dale Earnhardt were running side by side, but Marlin inches ahead of Dale. And that's Derek Cope in the Pure Leader Pontiac behind Earnhardt. And here comes Jeff Bodine, the yellow and white number 5, the Levi Garrett Chevrolet. So Marlin now is in 5th position. Dale Earnhardt back to 6th. Cope 7th. Jeff Bodine is 8th. That blue number 90 on the inside, Stan Barrett, the Hawaiian Tropic Ford, Junie Donlevy's car. The fastest man on earth, ran over 700 miles an hour a few years ago. But he had to take a provisional starting spot to get into the field for today's event. Now Marlin begins to close in on 4th place. Ken Schrader, and the number 09 car is very high on the racetrack. Smoke coming from that car. And again is Roy Smith from Victoria, British Columbia. And that car very slowly down the front stretch. Yeah, he's blown an engine up in between 3 and 4, and he's unable to get to the inside of the racetrack. We'll see if there's a yellow flag. There's the 27 car of Rusty Wallace, and Jerry Punch is with Barry Dodson.
There's been a lot of conversation back between Barry Dodson and Rusty Wallace about the car slipping back. Let's comment with Barry just a second here. Barry, the car backsliding a little bit. What's the problem?
It's pushing right now. It's a flat racetrack. The tires give up. The whole car tends to slide. I don't think we're by ourselves, but we have to be careful right now. When you run slower, the car pushes also. Just need to get a caution and work on it a little bit.
Car pushing a little bit for Rusty Wallace. They're going to take their time, bide their time, be very, very patient here in Phoenix, and hopefully get a caution flag and change a tire.
Well, there'll be no caution flag on the racetrack because of the Roy Smith incident. We thought maybe the NASCAR saw some liquid out there and wanted to go out and check it, but that is not the case, and the race continues.
Bob, I think there are a lot of drivers that would like to see a caution flag about now to make some adjustments on those cars, because obviously a number of them have missed the setup. Now, there's some cars that from back in the field that have been running good. There's Rusty Wallace and Darrell Waltrip going at it for position, and looks like Wallace is going to be able to take the measure of Waltrip, but maybe not. Yeah, I believe he's going to get him.
Here comes Harry Gann, number 33. Waltrip's running a really high line. He did through 1 and 2 last lap at least.
Well, what he's trying to do, the car is not gripping the racetrack. He's going up high on the racetrack to what we call green racetrack, where there's no oil, water, and tire and rubber. And you get a better bite up there, and that'll take care of some of the handling problems.
Let's go to Jack Arute, who is with Richard Petty, already out of today's event.
And Richard, obviously you don't want to be here, but what put you out?
Something on the top end of the engine started tightening up, and Dale said it was smoking out the exhaust pipe. So I felt it tighten up the lap before, and we just cut it clean to come on in, keep them blowing all the pieces, I guess.
In the early going, though, you were pretty well hooked up. This looked as if it may have been one of your better days.
Well, the car was really working good. That's the first thing. The chassis man asked you, how was the car doing? Chassis was doing good, and it was just a deal that we didn't run long enough to really see what it was going to do, because as people run, the track gets slicker, and if we had the right setup for a slicker track, or did we have one for a green track, so we didn't know. But under the circumstance what they're running right now, the car was working pretty good.
Bob?
Thank you very much. Richard Petty has not finished a race since Michigan in August, hasn't led since Atlanta in March. Good racing here. Ken Schrader and Derek Cope. Cope's on the inside. This is for 5th position.
I'll tell you what,
the yellow flag is about to be flown.
No, they didn't throw it that time.
Well, they had it out, and he had a notion to. I guess he decided not to, but they were.
Meanwhile, it's Derek Cope in car number 10, who has taken over 5th position from Ken Schrader. We understand there might be a dog that is loose and in the area of the backstretch.
Well, surely it wouldn't get out there among those cars to try to play. Well, the yellow flag is out.
First caution of the afternoon. It's shown to Alan Kulwicki, and the speed is now reduced. And watch for some massive pit stops here on lap number 48.
Oh, yeah, they'll be practically everyone will be coming in.
Believe me when I tell you, Alan Kowicki did not want that caution flag.
Boy, he was just running away, wasn't he?
This is how you win and lose races in Winston Cup racing. Rusty Wallace desperately needed. Alan Kowicki did need it. Today, Rusty Wallace is a lucky guy. Maybe next time, Alan Kowicki will be the one.
Last year there were 7 caution periods for a total of 45 laps. The first caution of the day is out now as the pace car has the field in tow in turn number 3. And in just a moment the pit area will be opening, allowing the cars to come in for some change of rubber and some chassis adjustments. Here comes the field off of corner number 4, but none of them are on the racetrack. They're headed toward the pit area. There are some cars that do stay out there, but most everyone is in for some pit action.
And this is going to be a crowded pit road.
Let's go to Jack Arute in Kowicki's pit.
Well, they've made a chassis adjustment on Alan Kowicki's car. He was fairly happy with the car, but was afraid that maybe the racetrack would go away. Mark Martin on the bottom of your screen there are going to change all 4 tires in Alan Kowicki's Xerox car. Left side tires on Mark Martin's car as well. They dropped the jack on Alan Kowicki's car. No, they don't. They've got a problem with the lug nut on the left rear, but they finally get him away with one lug nut loose.
Kowicki back out on the racetrack. There's Mark Martin. He is going to be out first.
Looks like Ricky Rudd's going to be out third and Jeff Bodine fourth, Sterling Marlin fifth, Dale Earnhardt.
There
goes
see
Rusty Wallace.
Wallace going out on the, there is an acceleration lane here. That isn't the racetrack. You enter the racetrack off of corner number 2. There's an acceleration lane there in turns 1 and 2 for those coming out of the pit area. So the track being checked by the NASCAR officials for our first caution period of the afternoon. We will be back with more of our live coverage of the Autoworks 500 after these messages. Here are the top 10 with 51 laps completed. It's Mark Martin, Alan Kowicki, Ricky Rudd, Jeff Bodine, and Sterling Marlin. Dale Earnhardt, Ken Schrader, Rusty Wallace, Michael Waltrip, and Harry Gant. That's pretty much the way they came out of the pit area. We are just about to complete our first caution period of the day.
Well, the fellow who lost the most on that pit stop was Derek Cope, who was running in the top 5. He's now running in 16th position.
Mark Martin
Came
had
out
a
in front.
chassis adjustment, and here's what happened during that pit stop.
We see him changing the right side. The jack goes up, bringing the tires around. Now watch the jack man. He's going to take a wrench, put on top of the right rear spring, and turn down on that one complete round. Oh, 2 rounds. Taking some bite out of that car. His car, as Jerry Punch said a moment ago, is pushing.
All right, now the field set for the restart once again. Here comes the leader, Mark Martin, out of corner number 4. The green flag waves on lap number 52, and we're back to racing. Alan Kowicki moves to the outside and passes Mark Martin rather easily, and look at Kowicki pull away from everyone. Here comes Bodine to battle Ricky Rudd for 3rd position.
Bodine was the pole sitter here a year ago. The Levi Garrett Chevrolet number 5 running good again today.
Sterling Marlin, Dale Earnhardt, and Ken Schrader follow. There's the interval now that Kowicki has opened up on 2nd place. Mark Martin, boy, he just drove away from everyone when the flag waved green, and he headed for turn number 1.
That is absolutely amazing. I'm not sure I understand why that happens, Bob. I've had it happen to me before, but I really can't explain it. You would think that Mark Martin, as well as he was running, could stay in front on fresh tires, but evidently not.
I tell you, I think Kowicki's car is just hooked up so well here today. It is perfect.
We're inside Ricky Rudd's Quaker State Buick. He's running in 3rd position behind Alan Kowicki and Mark Martin. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who has a comment on Alan Kowicki.
Well, gentlemen, we saw Kulwicki pull away so quickly on the restart. I just talked to Steve Mill, the crew chief for Mark Martin, said, hey, we know Kulwicki's got so much more gear than we do in the car, but Kulwicki has nothing to lose as far as the point championship is concerned. We had to run a little bit higher gear to make sure we don't over-abuse the motor. We're going to stay where we are, keep an eye on Kulwicki, most importantly, keep an eye on the 3 and 27 cars of Earnhardt and Rusty Wallace.
All right, so Kulwicki now finds his lead has shrunk somewhat as Mark Martin and Ricky Rudd have both closed in. Inside Rudd's car once again as he looks to the inside of Mark.
You talk about RPMs and the fact that the 6-car Mark Martin, the blue number 6, the Stroh's-Light car, has to run a higher gear than the 7 car. Again, if you abuse the engines and if you turn them too many RPMs, sometimes they just won't take it. They lay down and die on you. And when you fall out of the race here, there's many Winston Cup points that go for the wayside. They just can't afford to fall out, particularly with only 2 races to go in the season.
Second and third, Mark Martin and Ricky Rudd. The number 4 car of Rick Wilson going very slow through the backstretch.
Yeah, he came off of turn 2 and all of a sudden just slowed down dramatically. I'm sure that he'll be coming into the pits. If he makes it to the pits, he's coasting around, just trying to get to pit road.
Rick Wilson involved in a crash here last year, finished in 29th position. And he is going to make it to the pit area. He's on the apron right now. We understand there's a bad vibration in the motor, and Rick Wilson is taking the car behind the wall. Jerry, what's the story?
Well, Rick just radioed to the crew and said he thinks the engine may just come apart inside that Kodak Oldsmobile. Apparently the engine is come unglued, and so he's just going to go straight to the garage area and call it a day. A tough break for Rick Wilson.
Meanwhile, a great battle for second position continues between Ricky Rudd and Mark Martin. Rudd to the inside, through the dogleg. He passes Martin, and Rudd goes to second.
Now, there's a guy that's in a point battle. Did you see the 6-car back off and just let Ricky Rudd go? He can't afford to take any chances. We've been pointing that out, and that was a classic move to try just to make sure you don't race side by side with anyone, because when you do that, you're always, subject to crash. Get together with the other car and hit the wall.
Yeah, you don't want to rub fenders with. You can get a fender in against a tower or something like that, cost you an extra pit stop. So there's so many things that can happen by running in traffic or running close to someone.
Guy with a good run going is Sterling Marlin in car number 95, the number 94 rather, the Sunoco Ultra Oldsmobile. He is in fine shape. Started 19th, was 9th at the end of 25 laps, and now here at the end of 60 laps, he has moved all the way up to 5th.
I'm sure that Steve Lloyd, the crew chief on that car, is very pleased. Steve just had the job since, back around Martinsville, I guess he took over as the crew chief on the 94.
He finished 10th at the race here at Phoenix last year. There is Dale Earnhardt, second in Winston Cup points. It's a real psychological game that you have to play. When you're talking about Mark Martin, you can't take chances, but at the same time, you don't want to stay out there and lose positions.
Well, he's only lost second place. And look, Ricky Rudd had run him down. He was faster than Mark Martin. Mark Martin might hold the man back because he's going to pass him. Now, he might take a quarter panel with him when he passes him if he isn't careful. That's why Martin backed up and let Ricky go.
Dale Earnhardt running in 6th position. There's the shot from the mountain cam on top of the mountain just beyond the 3rd and 4th turns. A tremendous overall panoramic view of this 1-mile racetrack here at Phoenix. High on a mountain. We understand that there were some 130 rattlesnakes taken from the mountain on Friday, and they shook out 60 more yesterday.
I'm glad it was them doing that and not me.
There's the leader, Alan Kulwicki.
Yeah, I was going to say, Ned and I didn't volunteer for that duty, I'll tell you.
Kulwicki leading Ricky Rudd. 3rd position belonging to Mark Martin. In 4th spot is Jeff Bodine, and 5th is Sterling Marlin. Back with more right after this. ESPN Speed World today at Phoenix International Raceway, located about 25 miles outside of Phoenix. Well, tonight here on ESPN at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, the Dallas Cowboys and the Washington Redskins, as ESPN's NFL coverage continues tonight at 8 o'clock. Great game, the Dallas Cowboys and the Washington Redskins. Here at Phoenix International, the race is being led by Alan Kulwicki in car number 7. He has led for most of this event.
You know, I think that Alan Kulwicki probably, Ned, this racetrack is very similar to the Milwaukee Speedway, and Alan Kulwicki ran there many times. It's probably an advantage to him.
I would say so. I've heard he and Rusty Wallace both say that it has a lot of characteristics of the Milwaukee Mile, and I'm sure that that has been a great help to him in setting the car up as well as driving the track.
Alan Kulwicki from Greenfield, Wisconsin of the Xerox Ford. First Winston Cup win last year. Did you think you'd have more wins since you won your first race here last year?
Well, you know, I thought there'd at least be a couple. I thought that would get us over the hump and pave the way to win a few more. We almost have, but almost doesn't count. We've been real close to winning 4 or 5 races this year, and just for one reason or another have come up a little bit short. And at this point in the season, that's really frustrating with only 2 races to go. But I hope this place holds the same sort of magic for me that it did last year.
Well, it appears as if that could be the situation. His is definitely the best car on the racetrack at the moment. It has been really all race long. Kulwicki still leading. The average speed of the race, 108.714 at the end of 70 laps.
Now here's a good battle. There's Derek Cope and Dale Jarrett in car number 29 and Dick Trickle in car number 84. They're running 14th, 15th, and 16th. Derek Jarrett starting back in 32nd position and now running in the 15th position. Dr. Jerry Punch has a comment on that.
Well, Ned, I spoke to crew chief Doug Williams, the man who cruised that Hardee's Pontiac for Dale Jarrett. He said, you know, we're really trying like the Dickens to get a good run here before the year's out. We don't have a sponsor for next year in the Kelly Arbor Motorsports effort, and Dale did such a great job at Martinsville. We feel like we're going to have another Martinsville. We're going to sneak up on them here at Phoenix today. We're going to move our way to the front, and we're going to lead some laps here. Possibly someone out there will want to sponsor us for next year. So Derek Cope there running in front of Dale Jarrett, but Dale now trying to climb his way into the top 15.
Well, he made a good move there. I'll have to give the boy credit. He used that car number 40, which is being driven by Joe Rudman, and used him to block off Dick Trickle there. That's pretty good move by Dale. And look here, is Dale Earnhardt and Rusty Wallace running together.
They have found each other again. You remember what happened at Rockingham. It wasn't an intentional situation, but Rusty lost control momentarily and bumped Dale, spinning him. Both cars were okay. It's a piece of video we saw in the opening of the show, but then here comes Sterling Marlin and hits Dale Earnhardt in the rear end and really eliminated him from any further chance of winning.
I think Rusty Wallace is going to be awfully careful this time trying to get by that 3 car, because he certainly don't want to do the same thing again. It was pleasantly intentional last week. But anyway, he doesn't want to do it again, and he certainly doesn't want to put himself out of this race.
This is for 6th position. Earnhardt and Rusty Wallace 1st and 2nd in Winston Cup points. Jerry Punch again at pit road.
Remember last year when Rusty Wallace had a favorite car by the name of Whitney? He won 4 of the last 5 races of the year in that car. Well, this year, the favorite machine is the one he's driving today. It's named Tia, after crew chief Barry Dotson's oldest daughter. It's the same car he set on the pole with at Wilkesboro early in the year. He won with at Richmond on the radial tires. And the car, then he finished 4th in at Martinsville. They are putting all their eggs in one basket here on this Pontiac named Tia.
And again, he is battling for 6th position with Dale Earnhardt. Right now, there are 26 cars that are on the lead lap of this event. We have run 77 laps and only had 1 caution, and that was for debris on actually a dog that had jumped over a fence on the backstretch that had to be corralled. Now Wallace looking to the inside and trying to move alongside Dale Earnhardt as here comes Harry Gant at number 33. He's running in 8th.
The Wallace's car is staying down on the inside of the racetrack much better since they made the chassis adjustment on it. Maybe they made the adjustment with tires, but it's not pushing as much as it was earlier.
Shot once again from a mountain cam outside of turns 3 and 4.
I thought Rusty had him that time, but they're still side by side. And they're losing valuable ground to the leaders. Look, Harry Gant's running down just in a lap or two as they race each other side by side.
Spin in turn number 2. Larry Pearson loops it. If he made contact with the wall, it was just slight.
But the caution is out.
He pulls away and keeps going. However, the second caution flag of the day flies. These guys will be racing to the caution flag. Alan Kowicki, the leader of the race, has already taken the caution, and now here they come off of corner number 4. There'll be no contention for the spot as Earnhardt will be 6th, Wallace 7th, and Harry Gant 8th. Pace car picks up the field off of corner number 2. There's Alan Kowicki, the leader of the race. More pit stops probably coming up, although it hasn't been all that long since we had a caution flag.
But I'll bet we'll see them coming in, Bob.
I'll guarantee it.
Yeah. Because those newer, cooler tires run a lot faster, and if one comes in, the others have to.
It's worth probably 3 or 4 miles an hour a lap just by putting fresh tires on the car. And here comes Kowicki. Here comes Ricky Rudd. Both of them down pit road. Kowicki stops. Rudd goes on down pit road to his pit.
Alan Kowicki pitted toward the 4th turn, and here is Mark Martin as we ride with him. His pit is located nearer the 1st turn area, and this is the crew cam.
Looks like Robin's in the dark.
Robin Pemberton. Jimmy Maycar is wearing another one of our crew cams as he goes to work changing the tires on Rusty Wallace's car.
We saw the car go down, and Kowicki is leaving. Jeff Bodine is leaving. Mark Martin's leaving.
Bodine.
It's Bodine. Ooh, almost got that tire down there.
Bodine and Martin racing out of the pit area. Jeff comes out with the advantage, but it was a close situation down there at the end of pit road. Here comes everybody else filing out of the pits. Darrell Waltrip gets his service completed. He moves away. Derry Cope, one of the last cars to complete service on his machine and get back out there. But all the service along the pit area here in front of us completed now. Several cars coming in off of the pack that didn't make a pit stop last lap. We'll take another break and be right back with more from Phoenix. Here are the top 5 with 81 out of 312 laps completed. Bobby Hamilton's the leader in car 51. Dave Marcus second in 71. Then Jeff Bodine, Mark Martin, and Alan Kowicki.
And 1 lap to go, and we'll be back to green flag racing again.
You know, in case we're talking about Rusty Wallace as we see him going down in turn 1, the white car. He announced this past Monday he and Raymond Beadle have re-signed for 1990. There's been some speculation of what Rusty Wallace is going to do. Well, they made it official that he is going to be driving that very same car next year. Barry Dodson, Harold Elliott, all the guys are going to be there. The same team, all together, 1990.
Different sponsorship on the car, however. It'll be gold and black. Miller Genuine Draft will be the sponsor on the Rusty Wallace car for 1990. The deal with Raymond Beadle just 1 year, but there is a 4-year contract between Rusty Wallace and the sponsor. The number 46 car that you saw, that green one there, is one of the camera cars that's being used for the shooting of the movie out here this weekend, driven by Greg Sachs. Pace car pulls off the track. Here we go again. The restart, and the flag flies on lap 83. Back to racing we go.
Bobby Hamilton in car number 51 is in the lead. I don't think he made a pit stop, but he's off to a good start there. But Bill Parsons was able to jump him and get Bill is a lap down, or was a lap down. Now he's back in the lead lap. He needs a caution, and he can get back in the seat.
Bobby Hamilton leading the race, second on your screen. Here comes Jeff Bodine working the outside of Dave Marcus. Marcus in 71. It's got to be a real thrill for Bobby Hamilton, who never driven a Winston Cup race until a Winston Cup car until about a week ago. He's in his first race here this afternoon, and he is the leader. But that's only for a few moments, as it appears as if Jeff Bodine is going to be able to pass him here. We're in Mark Martin's Strolls Like Ford.
light hit that red light on the strobe light dash. I thought the engine had died. And said, wow, he's got a problem. Looked right up on the back of Phil. That's Phil Parsons in the Skull car in front of Mark Martin, right in the back of him.
Dale Earnhardt has a problem in the Goodwrench Chevrolet. He has moved high on the racetrack, and boy, he doesn't need this to happen if he has any shot at winning the championship, whatever the problem might be, but he is definitely slow.
Not only the championship, but this could be second place. Mark Martin with a good finish could go by Earnhardt, and it's probably worth another $150,000 between second and third.
Dale Earnhardt has just had some incredibly bad luck for the last 4 races. It doesn't appear to be at full song at the moment. He's losing positions. Ken Schrader now down alongside him. The number 30 car of Michael Waltrip is also right there. Jackaroo, any speculation?
Well, what they're concerned about down here in the Goodwrench pit is that maybe the rear end is going away, Bob. They brought the jack. They're all set. If he does have to come in, but they're going to try and keep him out there for a little while longer and try and sort it out.
We'll keep an eye on that situation. Dale Earnhardt.
Boy, it's created a traffic jam when he slowed down a little bit there. It looks like he's picked speed back up now. He's moving around Ken Schrader. Michael Waltrip there, car number 30. Let's go back to the pits and Dr. Jerry Punch.
It's got to be deja vu for Dale Earnhardt. Here last year when he came to Phoenix International Raceway, it was a 3-horse battle for the championship between Elliott, Rusty Wallace, and Earnhardt. Earnhardt had an awful day here. Ended up finishing 11th, 1 lap down, but essentially became mathematically eliminated from the Series Point Championship when they were into Atlanta. So we be seeing a repeat of what happened last year. What a tough break for Earnhardt and the Goodwrench crew.
He appears to be holding his own, as you indicated, Ned. He lost several positions a few laps ago, but now has not lost any more. In fact, has taken 1 of them back. So
maybe he just wanted to make things dramatic here.
Give us an opportunity to talk about it a little bit. Oh, a battle for second position between Alan Kulwicki and Mark Martin. And man, look at Alan Kulwicki go to the inside and pass Mark Martin. That car is really hooked up.
Yes, it is. Normally, when you go into a turn that fast past the one on the inside, they back off a little bit as Mark Martin did. The car will slip up the one that's doing the passing. Kulwicki's car stuck right down on the inside. He is really hooked up here today.
The leader of the race is Jeff Bodine. You can see him ahead from Mark Martin's car. And we'll take a look at it once again of how Kulwicki made the car stick on the inside to take second.
Yeah, he just cut her left coming off turn 4, pressed on the accelerator. It stuck, didn't even slip a bit, and made the move.
Alan Kulwicki is getting rid of a lot of frustrations in 1989 today, believe me. Being able to go to the front and pass these cars with Will, this is what you're doing it all for, and he's had a miserable, miserable year in 1989.
Dale Earnhardt is back on the throttle. There he goes to the inside of Davey Allison and takes that position away. So Earnhardt, whatever was causing him some problems, may be gone. Jackaroo, can you shed more light on this situation?
Well, Bob, here's the thinking right now. This is Dale Earnhardt's pit, and you can see that it's a melding of concrete and blacktop. Now, when they dropped the car off the jack and he dropped it into gear, he actually lit the tires up, and they feel that maybe they had popped the ratchet in the rear end out for a second. It seems to have settled back down in now, so they're not as concerned as they were before, and they have no intentions of bringing him back in. He's back up to speed.
All right, he indeed is. Now he has caught up with the number 2 car of Ernie Irvin and the 71 of Dave Marcus. So the car is now appears to be back at full speed. The lead is held by Jeff Bodine, car number 5 at the 93 lap mark. In second position is Alan Kulwicki, and third is Mark Martin, followed by Ricky Rudd and Sterling Marlin. Back with more live action right after this. NASCAR's Winston Cup Division at Phoenix International Raceway today in Arizona for the Checker Autoworks 500. Next to the last race on the 1989 Winston Cup schedule, and the leader is Jeff Bodine in the Levi Garrett Chevrolet car number 5. Alan Kulwicki has moved to second position, then Ricky Rudd, Sterling Marlin, and Mark Martin. Now, Martin was running third just a couple of laps ago. He has fallen all the way back to 5th position, and is about to lose that to Rusty Wallace.
Yeah, the handle's gone away on those Groves Light Ford. I don't know what the problem is, but he's slipping and sliding all over the racetrack, just basically trying to keep it under control.
Well, there's the point leader, Rusty Wallace, who is now running in the, but he just moved into fifth position. Mark Martin running 6th. Dale Earnhardt is running in 10th position.
I'm surprised that Rusty Wallace is running this hard, Ned, aren't you?
Well, I think it's just his nature, Benny. He just can't help it.
I don't know, for $1 million, what do you think, Bob? Don't you think it'd ease up a little bit?
I don't think I would take any chances if I had an opportunity to win $1 million. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's with Steve Meal.
Steve standing here watching his driver. Steve, Mark is slipping and sliding out there. What's the problem?
Well, we started out a little too tight. We loosened them up, loosened them up, loosened them up. Now we're really too loose, so we're waiting on another caution to get them tightened back up. We're kind of riding around seeing what the racetrack does right now.
They're going to try to get Mark Martin dialed in. We might want to mention also that Davey Allison has slowed on the racetrack. We have been told by Robert Yates that they have dropped the valve and are currently on 7 cylinders.
All right, so a report on 2 cars, Mark Martin and Davey Allison. Martin has Rusty Wallace just ahead of him. There's that TV camera car to the left now, that bright green car that's being driven by Greg Sachs and is part of the movie that's being filmed here this afternoon, starring Tom Cruise, that is scheduled for release next summer.
Darrell Waltrip says this is his road course car, and they painted these colors. I told him it's the only one they had to go ahead and paint it a bright color so it would rival the Tide colors.
And by the way, his name on that car, the name on the roof of that car is Cole Trickle.
That's the name that Tom Cruise will use in the movie Days of Thunder.
That's Mark Martin, the winner 2 weeks ago in Rockingham, his first victory on the Winston Cup circuit.
Jeff Bodine leads the Checker Autoworks 500. As we have just completed 100 laps, and we'll give you the complete field rundown with just about a third of the way completed.
So you fans out there will be able to see where your favorite driver is running right now.
Jeff Bodine was the pole winner here last year and finished in 6th position. He, of course, was the winner at North Wilkesboro not too long ago, taking advantage of that incident between Dale Earnhardt and Ricky Rudd on the last lap to drive to victory, and he is leading at the moment.
Jeff Bodine, just 2 more races in this 5 car. Next year, going to be driving the Budweiser Ford for Junior Johnson, the number 11 car that's presently being driven by Terry Labonte.
And there you have the way that they are running on the track at the end of 100 laps. Jeff Bodine, would you rather win the Winston Cup title for the money or for the trophy itself?
Money somehow. I mean, that's a lot of money, and I'm not trying to understate that, but that trophy, the prestige, the title, that's what every driver in here is after. That is what's important. You know, winning races is important. I go into a race, I have no idea what it pays to win. You know, that isn't important. Winning is important. Getting in victory lane is important. And it's the same with the championship. The title, Winston Cup champion, is what this series is all about.
Jeff Bodine will not win the Winston Cup in 1989. He is currently 10th in the point standings. He himself, though, is involved in a great points battle with Harry Gant and Terry Labonte and Davey Allison. There are several drivers back there in 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th that are separated by very few points, and all those are worth about $500,000. Back with more right after this from Phoenix. Phoenix International Raceway in the Estrella Mountains, located about 25 miles outside of Phoenix. And the Autoworks 500 is being led by Jeff Bodine as we have a shot of him from our mountain cam. Now, let's take a look at how the points leaders are running. Rusty Wallace, the leader in Winston Cup points. There he is running with Sterling Marlin. He's in 5th position. Dale Earnhardt, second in points, is 10th. And Mark Martin is 6th. Now, if the race ended now, this is the way the point situation would be. If Rusty can go out of here today with a 148-point lead, he will clinch the Winston Cup. Actually, it would mean all he would have to do is start at Atlanta. He would have to show up at Atlanta.
But we have 200 more laps to go.
So a long way, and a lot can happen. And I don't think anybody is believing that Rusty Wallace is going to clinch anything here this afternoon, because Mark Martin is right there behind him. And Dale Earnhardt is certainly not out of this yet either. He had a few problems a few laps ago, but things seem to have stabilized as he has now remained in that 10th position for the last 5 or 6 laps. Well, here's a lap up on the side cam, which is hooked onto Mark Martin's car. We'll take a lap around PIR.
This is between 3 and 4. He's exiting turn 4. Up against the outside retaining wall, the start-finish line. And later on in the afternoon, the sun will be miserable going in turn 1. As it dips down to the west, it's directly in the driver's eyes. Exiting turn 2.
Oh, man. And there's a dog leg in the backstretch. Settling down into turn number 3 once again, and there is a lap of Phoenix International Raceway as he passes under the Goodyear Bridge once again. One of the best battles on the racetrack is for 4th position. Sterling Marlin has that position in 94, but Rusty Wallace is right there knocking on the door.
These two cars awfully evenly matched, but unfortunately they're about a half a straightaway behind the leader, Jeff Bodine.
You do have to take your hat off to Sterling Marlin, though. He started this race in 19th position and came to the front very quickly. Now finds himself in 4th.
Yeah, on a racetrack that is very, very difficult to pass on. Ned mentioned that earlier in the show, and that's true, Ned. It is awfully difficult to pass here.
Now Ricky Rudd and Alan Kulwicki are running together on the racetrack. Here comes Rusty Wallace to make a bid for 4th position on Sterling Marlin. Rusty to the inside through the dogleg of the backstretch, and Rusty is going to pull ahead of Sterling Marlin at least momentarily as they head out of turn number 4. Yep, Rusty's got 4th. I bet you didn't think he was going to do it.
I didn't. I thought, well, I'm going to call old Jenkins. Tell him, no, you're wrong again, but he was right, as usual.
Now a few cars ahead of them, the number 7 of Alan Kulwicki, and from inside, Ricky Rudd's car.
And the white car up in front of the Xerox Ford, that is the leader, Jeff Bodine. So a good race for the lead now. Just a few car lengths separate the first 3 cars.
The number 17 and 25 cars are running side by side. That's Darrell Waltrip in 17 and Ken Schrader in number 25, and this is the battle for 19th position.
Well, Darrell Waltrip the other day on Friday asked him how his car was running. He said, I'm a turtle. And he's certainly not running the way Darrell Waltrip usually runs. We would normally see a battle for the lead, but as we just mentioned, a race for 19th.
But neither is Ken Schrader, because don't forget, he was our pole sitter and dropped back rather quickly. Jerry Punch, can you add anything to this Schrader run?
Well, they have 2 problems apparently, Bob. The one problem they have is what a lot of drivers, including Darrell Waltrip, has. The car is just not dialed in right now. Schrader's car is just very, very tight. They were hoping to get a yellow flag and get him in here and put a rubber spacer in the right rear to loosen the car up a little bit. Now, we did a track back a few weeks ago on putting a rubber spacer in the car between the springs to make a major chassis adjustment. That's not really their biggest problem. The biggest problem they have right now is the car is overheating. It is running hot, and so Schrader is having to back off even more. They have a big tank here in the pits filled with cool water, waiting for him to come in and try to determine what the problem might be. So 2 problems now plaguing our pole sitter, Kenny Schrader.
All right, thank you very much, Jerry. Darrell Waltrip continues to run right alongside Ken Schrader as the teammates are hooked in a battle for that 19th spot.
And you can see right behind them is 2 other cars running side by side, Neil Bonnet and Terry Labonte, 2 Fords, while the 2 Chevrolets run side by side. Now the car number 11 goes high, and a little smoke coming from Davey Allison's car. We mentioned that he perhaps had lost a cylinder, but he's still hanging in there pretty good. But a little smoke coming from that car, especially when he goes into the turns.
Tell you what, he's doing pretty doggone good for 7 cylinders. And I tell you, this Darrell Walter Ken Schrader race just will not let up. They're still side by side. And here, well, okay, Schrader finally got in front of him after about 3 laps.
And Neil Bonney finally got around Terry Labonte. Neil Bonney driving the Wood Brothers Sitco Ford number 21. Now he's going to work on Darrell Walter.
So in this shot, 19th, 20th, 21st, and 22nd, we have the guy who started on the pole, Ken Schrader, and the guy who started second, Terry Labonte. So you can see how they have fallen back in the first third of this race. Jeff Bodine, Alan Kowicki, and Ricky Rudd. The first 3, and there they are. You can see how much they're separated by. We'll be back with more from Phoenix International Raceway after this. All right, first, second, and third. That Xerox car is running pretty cool at the moment. It's in second position behind Jeff Bodine. We're riding with Ricky Rudd in third spot.
Rudd has been able to run with Alan Kowicki, but hasn't been able to do much with him as far as passing is concerned.
And I tell you what, folks, behind these 2 cars is a white number 27 that has run them down, Rusty Wallace. It looks like Barry and those guys have gotten his problems fixed because he is definitely on the move. There we see him. That's the green car, Ricky Rudd. The white car we saw behind him was Rusty Wallace.
Well, look how dirty his windshield is. He wouldn't mind having a pit stop to get it clean. Let's go to the pits and Dr. Punch.
That's a good pickup, Ned. In fact, Ricky Rudd is radioed into the pits and said he cannot see. He's got a problem. Let's find out from Larry McReynolds here what the problem may be. Apparently, Ricky says he cannot see. What's the problem with the windshield?
Well, we don't know for sure, Jerry, if it's Kowicki, although he's been the only car we've been following. There's some kind of liquid coming out of his car, somebody's car, and with the sunlight like it is here, he said the windshield, he just found him a little peephole kind of to just barely look through to. So hopefully we'll get a caution here when we get the windshield cleaned. The most important thing right now to us.
So Ricky Rudd has a visibility. We'll keep an eye possibly on Kowicki's car and see if there maybe is something coming out of that machine.
Well, as we ride with him, that visibility problem, of course, is especially bad going into turn number 1. That's when the sun gets in such a position that you not only can't see out the windshield, but then the sun blocks your vision. We'll continue to watch that situation, but Rudd, for the moment, continues to run in third spot. The number 51 car of Bobby Hamilton is on pit road for a stop. They're changing the tires on the right side of that car.
Now remember, Bob, he didn't stop during that last caution and took the lead as a result of it. Now having to stop during green flag conditions, he'll go at least a lap down. He was still running in 9th place when he came into the pits, but this green flag pit stop is going to cost him.
Bobby Hamilton from Nashville, Tennessee, in his Winston Cup debut here this afternoon, began this race from 5th position. Rudd and Kowicki continue to go at it out there for second spot. Now Ricky is really pulled in on the rear spoiler of that number 7 Xerox car. It's Larry Pearson to the left. Alan Kowicki passes him in the dog leg, or tries to.
Boy, it looks like that windshield problem is getting a little worse each time we look through it. It's just getting dirtier and dirtier, or greasier and greasier, whatever the case is.
Kowicki has a problem because he's certainly not handling like he was earlier. And look, Ricky Rudd looked on the inside of him, but the 73 car was there. That's Bill Smith, the Winston West champion. And Rudd was not able to get by Kowicki.
And look at Rusty Wallace. He has caught Kowicki and Rudd. And it appears as if these 3 cars are beginning to reel in the leader, Jeff Bodine. So if you're just joining us, we are at lap 134 out of 312, and the lead is held by Jeff Bodine. Second is Alan Kowicki. Third, Ricky Rudd, and fourth is Rusty Wallace. Wallace looking to the inside of Rudd, trying to take the position away in turn 3.
Well, Rudd don't mind if he goes by, because that'll be someone else to get the oil on out of Kowicki's car if he in fact is losing oil. I noticed Ricky Rudd, he's trying his best not to run behind Kowicki. He goes down in turn 1. When Kowicki goes low, look, Rudd goes high. When Kowicki comes off the corner high, Rudd's been trying to go low. Anything to keep from getting that oil on the windshield.
Let's go to Jackaroon with a comment on Alan Kowicki.
Well, Bob, you know, down here on pit road, it's very difficult sometimes to ascertain what the problem is with a car as the caution has come out.
Indeed it is, Jack. The number 90 car of Stan Barrett has spun over in turn number 2. He gets it back on the racetrack, but it indeed is a break for Ricky Rudd. He can come in now and get that windshield cleaned off.
Well, it's certainly not a break for Kawicki because we haven't seen any smoke from the car. But if he goes to the pits and they ascertain he does have an oil leak, NASCAR is going to have something to say about that. And if they say fix it, how can he fix an oil leak?
Yeah, it depends on what it is, but usually they are very, very tough to fix. There's Stan Barrett, who spun. It apparently didn't hit anything, bringing the car on around. And he might not know the rules because he headed into the pits. No, I guess he stayed out there. I thought he was about to head into the pits. He's got to wait until that green flag is given to go into the pits.
And it is just about to be given as here comes the pace car leading the field off of the 4th corner. And indeed, here come those running up front for a pit stop. Jeff Bodine, Alan Kawicki. Now let's go to Jerry in Jeff Bodine's pit.
Waddell Wilson brings that Levi Garrett Chevrolet to a halt, and Jeff Chandler and the crew now are going to work on the car. It will be a 4-tire stop for Jeff Bodine, as will most of the lead cars come in and try to get rubber all the way around. Let's go up and check in with Alan Kawicki's pit and Jackaroo.
Well, Jerry, likewise, 4 tires for Alan Kawicki. They're not at all concerned about any sort of smoke or a leak. They didn't even look under the car. Kawicki's dropped the jack. He's blocked in just a bit by the number 11 car, Labonte. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
Right side tires of the Folgers Chevrolet from Kenny Schrader. Now they're loosening the left side lug nuts. Richard Rubin and crew. Second can of gas going over there to Henry Mayfield. They will come around to the left side. Let's check up Terry Labonte's pits and Jackaroo.
They have made major chassis adjustments on Terry Labonte's car. As well, they have finally switched helmets. He has been without radio communication. Now, gentlemen, guess which helmet he's wearing this time? The SDP Pontiac helmet of the king, Richard Petty.
Everybody out of the pits. Boy, a lot of activity along pit road there in the last few minutes.
Sterling Marlin had some kind of problem as he exited the pit. I saw a tremendous amount of smoke out of his car. I don't know exactly what happened, but and Ricky Rudd had some problems leaving the pit. It looked like his clutch, he had a transmission or clutch problem. I don't know exactly what happened.
There's a 94 car of Sterling Marlin. We'll see if there's any smoke or anything evident from it. We'll replay. Here it is, Benny, what you talked about.
On the right front. The right, he's got a lug nut. He has a lug nut hung in the right front.
Yep.
When they changed the tire, one of the lug nuts got between the rotor and the caliper. When they put the wheel on, it's hung, and there finally it broke loose. But he has a flat spot on his tire. Now he needs to know that because that is very dangerous.
So we may see Sterling Marlin coming in here for another change of rubber on the right front corner of the racetrack. We'll let you know. We're live at Phoenix International Raceway for the Autoworks 500 Winston Cup race. You rejoin us just as the green flag is about to come out once again and restart the Autoworks 500. Lap number 140. Here's the green. We're back to racing. Look at the number 26 car of Ricky Rudd. It isn't going anywhere. He's lost a gear in that car.
Yes, it looks like he only has no forward gears except forward. And he was not able to get up to speed. But he now is up to speed, but there's no way in the world that he can continue to race with a transmission with no transmission. Oh, tough break for Ricky Rudd.
Well, maybe if it's locked in 4th gear or whatever the problem might be, he can race that way. He can't take off very good on restarts.
We're riding with Ricky Rudd. Jeff Bodine and Rusty Wallace are going at it for the lead. Jeff has the advantage, but look at Wallace. He's closing in to a couple of car lengths. Now really closing in the 3rd turn. Rusty Wallace may be making a bid for the lead. Here comes Alan Kawicki running in 3rd spot. Rusty looks to the inside at the start-finish line. Is he going to position himself inside of Bodine going into 1? He moves to the inside, pulls alongside Jeff Bodine. Great battle for the lead.
He wants to get 5 Winston Cup bonus points in the worst way. He figures this might be his best chance.
Look, Kawicki pulls up on the outside.
While Rusty's trying to take away the lead, he now stands the chance of losing 2nd position because there is Alan Kawicki.
Rusty's not able to let that car drift out the way he wants to, and yes, that time he did lose 2nd place to Alan Kawicki.
But here comes Rusty battling back on the inside.
Man, Rusty, there's $1 million at stake, son. Be careful.
He did tell us on Speed Week last Thursday that he wanted to be as you indicated, Ben, he wanted to be sideways with all 4 tires ablazing to win the championship at Atlanta. And it appears from his driving performance today that he is going to go forward and not by any means just stroke it and bring home the championship.
Kowicki looking on the inside of Jeff Bodine, trying to take that #1 spot away.
So Rusty now watches the battle for the lead from 3rd position as Kowicki and Bodine have pulled ahead. Well, Rusty, would you like to clinch the Winston Cup title here this afternoon?
I like the racetrack an awful lot. I think it's a real pretty track. The people out here have done a wonderful job getting this place ready. I'd love to clinch it here, sure. Everybody else wants me to clinch in Atlanta, so we'll see what happens.
That's why he's running so hard. $1 million at stake, but look at the battle for the lead. Kowicki and Jeff Bodine. Allen's going to get the lead again, I believe. Yes, he does.
Evidently, the last set of tires he had on were a little mismatched or something because he didn't run as good as he did earlier, but it looks like he has her hooked up again now. That's Alan Kowicki in car number 7.
Meanwhile, while Kowicki got by Bodine, Rusty Wallace able to pull up on the back bumper.
In 10 more laps, we will reach the halfway point, and there will be $10,000 at stake in the Right Guard Gillette Halfway Challenge. Whoever leads lap 156 will win $10,000.
By the way, we mentioned Sterling Marlin before we went on break that he had a lug nut or something loop behind the right front wheel. Well, Jerry Push reported during the commercial break up to us that he, in fact, just hit the brakes and to avoid running over someone down there, hit the brakes, and that's what we were seeing, and not a lug nut jammed in there as I suspected.
Now here's Rusty trying to take 2nd place away from Jeff Bodine. They're through the dog leg and headed for turn 3. Rusty is going to take away 2nd from Jeff. So now it's Alan Kowicki leading Rusty Wallace to 2nd and Jeff Bodine 3rd. There's the serial on Rusty Wallace from 9th to 8th to 4th, and now at the end of 147 laps, he is runner-up. Very consistent run this afternoon by Rusty Wallace.
There's only one guy in front of him, the number 7, Alan Kowicki, Xerox Ford, but he is awfully strong. Kowicki awfully strong this afternoon. There we see Kowicki in the front on our left, Rusty Wallace in the middle, and Jeff Bodine on the right.
You know, my question is, guys, what's going to happen if Alan Kowicki wins this race? Remember what he did last year? He drove the victory lap backwards on the racetrack. Does he have something else in mind for his 2nd victory? Well, we're a long way from the end of this race. We're nearing the halfway point, though, of the Autoworks 500. Downtown Phoenix, Arizona, about 25 miles away from Phoenix International Raceway, where we are today for the Autoworks 500. And here now are the top 10 at the end of 151 laps. The leader is Alan Kowicki. Rusty Wallace is 2nd, Jeff Bodine 3rd, Ricky Rudd 4th, and Mark Martin is running 5th. 6 through 10, Sterling Marlin, Dale Earnhardt, Bill Elliott, Harry Gant, and Morgan Shepherd. In just 4 more laps, we'll reach the halfway point. The leader will win $10,000.
Bob in 11th place is Dick Trickle. Dale Jarrett is 12th. 13th is Darrell Waltrip. Dave Marcus 14th. Neil Bonnet is 15th. Derek Cope 16th. Michael Waltrip 17th. Jimmy Spencer 18th. Terry Labonte 19th. Bernie Urban is 20th. The pole sitter Ken Schrader is in 21st. And Davey Allison in the car number 28 is running 22nd. 22 cars in the lead lap.
There is Jeff Bodine running in 3rd spot. Doesn't appear as if there's going to be a battle for the 10 grand available at the 156 lap mark, which will come in 2 more circuits. Well, there's the number 28 car of Davey Allison, and it looks as if it may be all over. A lot of smoke coming from that car. He dropped a cylinder earlier in the race, was just simply trying to pick up as many points as he could, but now it appears as if he's headed for the pit area. It could be all over for Davey Allison in the Hamilton Ford.
You talk about having a race for the $10,000. There's one guy out there that sure wishes there isn't a race. That's Kowicki. As bad as his luck's been for the last 3 or 4 months, I'm sure he can use $10,000.
Davey Allison was 11th in Winston Cup points coming into this event, only 4 behind Jeff Bodine. Next time is the halfway mark for Alan Kowicki.
And there's probably some fan up in Wisconsin that went to the Gillette retailer and put his name in the pot, so he will probably win $10,000 as well as Alan Kowicki.
Here he comes off of the fourth corner. We have reached the halfway point of the Autoworks 500 here at Phoenix International Raceway, and the leader, $10,000, goes to Alan Kowicki.
All right, that's a nice little bonus to get while riding around out there at ease. He looks like he is.
Still an awfully long ways to go. Still 156 laps. Rusty Wallace back in the race, running very well. And Jeff Bodine. Mark Martin, they'll probably get that car adjusted. He'll be back in the race before too long and running well.
Alan Kowicki won this race last year after starting in 21st position. Now here's a good battle on the track involving the 94 of Sterling Marlin, the 6 of Mark Martin, and Dale Earnhardt in number 3. This is 6th, 7th, and 8th.
And we see the car number 15 of Brett Bodine, and there Brett went a lap down just as the caution came out. The last caution came out. His brother Jeff was leading the race, but the caution was thrown just as Jeff got to the start-finish line. He tried his best to back off and let Brett stay in the lead lap, but he couldn't quite do it.
So Brett Bodine is a lap down in the Motorcraft Ford of Bud Moore, number 15, Brett Bodine. There is the leader, Alan Kowicki, in car number 7. Last year here at Phoenix International Raceway, Alan with his first Winston Cup win is the subject of our Winston Cup replay. Winston Cup replays are brought to you by the First Name and Filters Purelator, exceptional protection for exceptional vehicles like yours. 1988 NASCAR's first visit to Phoenix International. It was Terry Labonte and Alan Kowicki up front early. Rusty Wallace was in an uphill struggle to win the Winston Cup title. Kowicki, who started 21st, established himself as the man to beat, leading by lap 46. Ricky Rudd led the most circuits, but then just 16 laps from the finish. He slowed and eventually dropped out of the race with engine failure, finishing 26th. Wallace pitted for fuel in the final 10 laps, relinquishing his second position. He would still be 79 points behind Bill Elliott, headed to the final race of the year in Atlanta. At the checkered flag, Wallace was the last car on the lead lap in 5th position as Kowicki took the checkered flag. And he carried out a promise he had made to himself earlier, a victory lap around the track in the opposite direction in celebration. So far, it's been Alan's only visit to a Winston Cup victory lane. Well, that was a year ago when we came to Phoenix International Raceway, and things have been improved even more in the last year, and the crowd is even larger for the Autoworks 500. We'll be right back with more. Phil Parsons has spun and hit the wall here at Phoenix International Raceway on lap 167. The yellow flag is out for the 3rd time this afternoon. Phil Parsons is okay. The car is moving. It's headed in the wrong direction. But Phil is going to be sliding down the banking and now headed toward pit road.
Quite a bit of damage, at least sheet metal damage. You can see smoke. That's probably a fender or a quarter panel against one of the tires, but the Crown Skull team have quite a bit of work to do to that car to get Phil going again.
That is the 4th caution period of the day.
It doesn't appear as the car wants to roll very good. I guess that the sheet metal's knocked in on the tire, so it almost won't roll at all.
Stand by for more pit stops. Here comes the pace car off of corner number 4. Alan Kowicki is right behind the pace car. Then Rusty Wallace, Jeff Bodine, Ricky Rudd, and Sterling Marlin. And here comes the field on the pit road once again.
Every time there's a caution, you can rest assured they're going to come in, and they race down pit road once they get headed on there. They want to get to their pits as quick as they can.
There's Kowicki as the crew works on the right side of that car. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's with Rusty Wallace.
Likewise, right side pit work being done by Rusty Wallace's crew. Jimmy Maycar, right front tire. Of course, here's Barry Dotson racing around on the left side of the car. They have changed the right side tires. We're showing Alan Kowicki now on the left side getting his tires. Paul Andrews and the crew finishing Kowicki. He is down and leaving pit road. Here's Rusty Wallace now moving down pit road, and he will try to beat Kowicki out, and Wallace will do it. Here is Jeff Bodine. Coming down Bobby Hillin. Just about 5 holes and a great pit stop. Will be the first of the lead cars back on the pits. Let's go back to the garage area where Jack Arute is standing by with Davey Allison. Jack?
Jerry, before Davey, we put him on camera, he said, well, we only have one race to go. This has not been your day here at Phoenix.
Well, it hadn't, Jack, and I want to say this. I was looking at saying that as in a positive way. You know, this year's been kind of a tough year on us, and we've had some problems, going through some personnel changes, trying to get some things sorted out. And we're learning some things, but we had a tough break today. Now we got to go to Atlanta and try it a little bit better.
But it hasn't been that bad of a year either. You've got a victory or so.
Well, we got 2, but, you know, we've fallen back in the point standings over the last 7 or 8 races from 5th place to today. Going into this race, we were 11th, and this is going to put us back some more. So that's what's hurt us. But we'll just have to keep working hard, do the best we can, and get things in order for 1990.
Now, before we get a whole bunch of letters back at ESPN, explain the beard.
Well, it's hunting season in Alabama, and this is the first year I've been able to grow one.
Hopefully he'll be able to get a buck or two. Have to go through all that. I'm not quite sure, guys, that it really is a beard.
Well, it's showing signs of one, Jack, and I asked him this morning when he made a statement like that, this is first year he's been able to grow one. I said, does that mean this is the first year you've been old enough to grow one? He said, yeah, that's what somebody accused him of.
Well, Davey Allison's 2 wins this year have been on super speedways at Talladega and at Daytona, but it's all over for Davey Allison here this afternoon. So we're getting ready now for a restart in just a couple of more laps in the Autoworks 500 here at Phoenix International Raceway. Stay with us. Green flag has just gone out. We're back to racing here at Phoenix, and Rusty Wallace is the leader of this race. Jeff Bodine running in 2nd position, followed by Dale Earnhardt, then Alan Kulwicki, and Mark Martin.
And this is the first time today that Rusty Wallace has led this race, so he finally got those 5 bonus points for leading at least a lap.
And he has pulled away from the rest of the field, leaving everyone in his wake. That second car there, number 16, is not second in the race. That's Larry Pearson. He is 3 laps down. Jeff Bodine is in second. Well, let's go to Jack Arute, who's with Phil Parsons.
As you know, Bob, he's the man that brought the last caution. Now, what happened?
Well, I went in turn 1 above Jimmy Spencer, and undoubtedly he must have lost control because he body slammed me and knocked me in the wall.
That body slam tore the right side of the car up pretty good, too.
Well, it really did. We were running pretty fast, and he hit me pretty hard enough that I couldn't control it, and I hit the wall real hard. But one of those things, I'm sure he didn't do it unintentionally. He probably just lost control, and I happened to be there to save him.
Bob?
Thank you very much. Good to see Phil is okay. There was considerable damage to that race car. Now Dale Earnhardt begins to show some muscle, and he challenges Jeff Bodine for 2nd position.
Yeah, they must have got a set of tires on that thing to his liking, or maybe made an adjustment on the Goodrich Chevrolet, but he's showing more strength than we've seen here today.
Boy, the momentum sure keeps to be changing back and forth, back and forth. Earnhardt, just, 100 laps ago, couldn't hardly outrun anyone. Now he's up trying to take over 2nd place.
You know, we've seen about 5 or 6 cars so far that are very capable of winning this race.
And Mark Martin's back. You know, the last 50 laps ago, he couldn't outrun, but just, you know, he was back about a 6th, 7th place car. Now he's back up about a 5th place car, but right in the hunt with the 2nd place car.
2nd and 3rd, Jeff Bodine and Dale Earnhardt. 4th is Alan Kulwicki, car 7.
And Rusty Wallace is out of sight of those cars there at the moment.
He is. He has about a half a straightaway advantage now on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place cars. There you can see him up ahead. Look at the interval now that he has just opened up in 3 or 4 laps. And this is what he sees in his rearview mirror, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Alan Kulwicki might be a little bit faster than those 2 cars in front of him, but being faster and getting by him is 2 entire different things.
We've had 7 different leaders so far today. Schrader, the pole sitter, led for a while. Then Kulwicki, Mark Martin, Bobby Hamilton, Ricky Rudd, Jeff Bodine, and now Rusty Wallace. And there is Ricky Rudd. He is having problems with that Quaker State Buick on restarts. He is very slow. Jerry, explain, if you will, what the problem is on the Quaker State Buick.
Well, Bob, initially it was a transmission problem. Apparently what happened is they had lost first and second gear. The linkage rod that controls first and second gear had fallen down and broken, and it blocked the other linkage rod, so the car was locked in 4th gear only. Now having to restart in 4th gear as Kulwicki and Earnhardt battle on the racetrack. And now Kulwicki drops behind Earnhardt as they try to challenge again. They're having a good battle on the racetrack. And one problem here with Rudd is now that he's been starting in 4th gear, they may have a clutch going away. He smells something burning in the car, and the crew here in the pits, Larry McReynolds, Wayne Buckrunner, and Lou LaRosa, are very concerned about possibly bringing him in before they burn the clutch completely up.
Okay, Jerry, he's way off the pace back in 12th position at the moment, so Ricky Rudd is definitely struggling with that car, but we do have a great battle going on. It's now for 3rd as Jeff Bodine has taken 2nd, but here's the battle for 3rd among 3 drivers, Kulwicki, Earnhardt, and Mark Martin, and not too far behind is the number 9 car of Bill Elliott, and here is Darrell Waltrip and the 75 car Morgan Shepherd side by side. This would be the battle for 13th spot. Oh, look at Shepherd get way up high on the racetrack. We understand that that car could be dumping some fluid on the racetrack.
Now, Waltrip is running a little bit faster now. You know, not too long ago, we saw him back in 19th place, but he's running a little better now. He had a good pit stop that last time and came out ahead of a lot of cars that were in front of him, and so he's running good. Here's a good battle.
This is for 4th. Mark Martin inside of Dale Earnhardt as 2nd and 3rd position in Winston Cup points. Battle it out, and look who's watching this. Bill Elliott, the first time that we've seen him up in the front runners this afternoon. Bill Elliott began this race from the 13th starting position.
And he's been running good, but not a factor up front in the top 5 or so, but now he is beginning to make himself known.
Boy, how things have changed in 1 year. Bill Elliott at this time last year was seeing dollar signs, just about to clinch the Winston Cup, which of course he eventually won. But this year has not been quite as good to Bill Elliott. He is 5th in the point standings.
Been a hard year on Bill Elliott. You know, he went to Daytona as the Winston Cup champion, and he hadn't been there 30 minutes, so just about an hour when he crashed, broke his wrist, and it was downhill from there.
Well, let's take a look at our Napa race summary. Rusty Wallace leads. He has led 7 of the 175 laps at an average speed of 103.647. We've had 7 leaders, 10 lead changes, 4 cautions for 16 laps as Alan Kulwicki challenges Jeff Bodine. 21 cars are currently on the lead lap. This is the battle for 2nd position that you're watching in the upper right of your screen. The lap leaders, Schrader, Kulwicki, Martin, Bobby Hamilton, Ricky Rudd. Also, Jeff Bodine, Dave Marcus, and Rusty Wallace. Those that have dropped out of competition, Butch Miller, Richard Petty, Roy Smith, one of the Winston West competitors, Rick Wilson, Davey Allison, and Phil Parsons. Now we have seen Alan Kulwicki take over 2nd position from Jeff Bodine, and now Kulwicki sets his sights on the leader, Rusty Wallace, but Wallace continues to just pull away.
Yes, he does. He has a good lead. We'll put the stopwatch on him here and just see exactly how far behind he is. He is 4 37/100ths of a second behind Rusty Wallace right now.
And there's the 6th place competitor. And a little bit of smoke seen from that number 9 car. Do you see it? That's Bill Elliott running in 6th position, but we may be seeing some smoke coming from that car. It could be that he was just a little high on the racetrack and kicked up some dust. Back with more of the Autoworks 500 after this. Bob Jenkins, Benny Parsons, Ned Jarrett, Jack Arruda, Dr. Jerry Punch back at the Autoworks 500 Winston Cup race at Phoenix International Raceway. If the race were to end right now, here's how the points would stack up. Rusty Wallace would emerge with 41.18, Earnhardt with 39.94, and Martin with 39.80. Rusty has to have a 148-point advantage leaving this race today, and then all he would have to do is clinch, or rather start at Atlanta and clinch the Winston Cup. There's the interval between 1st and 2nd. Here comes 2nd place, Alan Kulwicki. 3rd is Bodine, 4th Martin, 5th Dale Earnhardt, and in 6th position is Bill Elliott, followed by 7th Sterling Marlin, 8th Harry Gant, 9th Derek Cope, and 10th is the number 30 car of Michael Waltrip. There is Bill Elliott in car number 9. A mediocre year this year, a great year last year. So how do you get up for the 1990 season?
I think that's a maturity to a lot of things. You know, one is going through the good years and going through the bad years to be able to recuperate from that. You know, in racing, such an up and down sport, it's hard to deal with as a week in and week out. But if you just get a strong enough team, you can deal with the low side and come back with some wins or whatever you need to do, you know, to get through to the next race. And right now, 88 or 89 was pretty much a washout over 88. Now if I can just get 90 down to where, you know, I go into Daytona where I'm pretty much prepared to do what I need to do. We've got some running with 89 T-Birds and know kind of what to expect out of them. And I feel like I'm back 100% also.
So Bill Elliott has had what we would call a mediocre year this year. He is 5th in the points. Jerry, how about that?
Well, they've not had a great year, but they are making some plans which should make a big difference next year. In fact, you know, Ernie Elliott, who's the oldest of the 3 Elliott brothers, says that he feels like his time needs to be spent more in the shop. He is the basic genius when it comes to development of engines. He would like to spend the majority of his time next year in the shop doing R&D, not only on the Ford V6 program, but on their own Elliott motors here for Winston Cup Racing. And that's what he's going to do. Ernie Elliott will probably not be in many races next year. In fact, we are told they are looking to hire a very accomplished, very talented crew chief to run the show next year at the racetrack, so Ernie will be able to stay home and concentrate primarily on the engine program. Now, we don't know who that new crew chief will be yet, but we are told it'll be somebody who is very accomplished in the sport, and they're trying to get a big name.
Very interesting story, Jerry, with Ernie not being a full-time member, perhaps, of the crew next year.
Well, while we watch Bill Elliott, you know, we had the stopwatch on Alan Kulwicki and Rusty Wallace a moment ago, and when Alan Kulwicki got into 2nd place, he was 4 37/100ths of a second behind. Well, now he has closed that down to 3 26/100ths of a second. So Alan Kulwicki is definitely gaining on Rusty Wallace. He has picked up more than a second in the last 10 laps.
So what you're saying is we're going to have a race here in just a few minutes, right?
Could have, because he's running about 0.2 of a second faster than Rusty Wallace is at this time. There's Earnhardt still running in the 5th position. Bill Elliott running 6th. Elliott was able to catch up to Earnhardt, but just sits there and rides behind him.
Understand that Earnhardt may have scraped the wall and perhaps did a little bit of damage to the right rear of the race car. We'll try to get a close look at that. There's some red paint on the right side, but it doesn't appear to be anything serious.
No, it doesn't seem to affect the handling qualities of the car right now. Don't see any smoke coming from it. And we thought we saw some smoke from Bill Elliott a little bit earlier, but I haven't seen that either. As you mentioned, he might have gotten a little high on the track. Here's Neil Bonnet in for an unscheduled pit stop. He had slowed down on the racetrack. Jack Arut's there.
Ned, what they've done is they've lost the clutch. So what Leonard Wood has done is taken a CO2 fire extinguisher. They're going to go up in the clutch area and unload that 50 pounds of chemical in there. That cold CO2 hopefully will cool the clutch down and give him at least enough to continue upon his way. They're presently doing that, as you can see, as the car's up on the jack.
Neil Bonnet, only his 2nd race back from injuries. He finished 6th at Rockingham a couple of weeks ago, and there you can see the Wood Brothers crew working on the clutch of that Citgo Ford. They're going to shove him back out of the race, it looks like.
Well, Neil was still in the lead lap before he made this unscheduled pit stop. But he's getting back out now, but he'll be more laps down.
Meanwhile, we continue to watch for the 5th and 6th position, Dale Earnhardt and Bill Elliott. Elliott finished 4th here at Phoenix in the inaugural event last year on his way to the Winston Cup in 1988. Now closing in on Dale Earnhardt.
As we watch those cars go down in turn 1, I'll report that Ron Esau in the Baja Boats Oldsmobile has blown an engine. He's coasting down in the pit road.
And there is the leader of the race, Rusty Wallace. As we have reached lap number 200, we've got 112 more laps to go with Rusty Wallace showing the way at the moment over Alan Kowicki and Mark Martin. Back again at Phoenix International Raceway on this beautiful Sunday afternoon in the Valley of the Sun. We have had perfect weather since we've arrived, and the temperature now is probably in the mid-80s. We haven't seen a cloud all weekend long. There's the leader of the race, Rusty Wallace. And a battle goes on behind him. That's Morgan Shepherd in car number 75 and the number 84 car of Dick Trickle, and this is the battle for 12th position.
Dale Jarrett right behind him in the Hardee's Pontiac. Michael Waltrip right up in front of him in the Country Time Lemonade Pontiac. So those four cars have really been going at it here.
And there is a field summary. Watch for your favorite driver to see where he is running. We might mention that Dick Trickle there in car number 84 was in the NASCAR Southwest Tour race yesterday here at Phoenix International Raceway, and he came home a winner. You can see Trickle running in 13th position. Jarrett is 14th. Ernie Irvin is in 15th position. And the rest of the field as it is running at the moment. Ken Schrader, the pole sitter, way back in 20th spot. And Ricky Rudd, who was an early contender back in 19th with some clutch problems.
So it appears to me like that the pole position winner in Atlanta will have an opportunity to pick up a bonus of $410,400.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Whoa, man.
A lot of money at stake in 2 weeks when we wrap up the 1989 Winston Cup season, and we will be there live for the race at Atlanta International Raceway.
Well, as we watch these four cars still battling, Michael Waltrip, Morgan Shepherd, Dick Trickle, Dale Jarrett, I'll tell you that Alan Kowicki has closed it down to 2 3/10 seconds. So he has gained a total of 2 seconds on Rusty Wallace in the last, say, 15, 16 laps.
Again, this is 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th. And here from Mark Martin's car is his battle with Jeff Bodine. They're in turn number 2, and they are side by side, and Mark Martin passes Jeff Bodine. And so Mark Martin now moves to 3rd spot.
Jeff Bodine is trying to come back. Ooh, Mark Martin gets the car a little bit out of shape. Bodine tried to come back, but Martin held him off. Mark's car is still a little bit too loose as he exits turn 4, especially.
Now here comes Jeff Bodine looking to the inside of Martin off of corner 2.
While they do that battle, Bob, the 15th place car, who was Ernie Irvin, we've seen him have so many good runs here recently in the Kroger Pontiac. He's in the pits. Looked like it's going to be terminal for him. He's pushing the car towards the garage area.
Well, some paint trading going on out there between the number 5 and the number 6 cars. They traded paint just a few laps ago. Here it was.
Coming off turn 2, Mark Martin goes up the hill and runs that right rear, right in the left front of the Bodine car.
And I tell you, that could cause a fender to get in on either of those tires, the left front of Jeff Bodine or either the right rear of Mark Martin. It doesn't take a great deal when those cars get together, but we haven't seen any smoke. We'll keep our eyes on it to be sure that they didn't do any damage.
Mark Martin's car is still very, very loose. When I say that, that means he's trying to spin out about all the time. And that's so uncomfortable when you're driving these cars.
Well, I can imagine at 160 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's very nerve-wracking.
The number 3 and the number 9 car still running together for 5th spot. That's Dale Earnhardt and Bill Elliott. And again, I'm seeing some smoke from that number 9 car occasionally.
I would say it's a bit of tire smoke. I haven't seen it yet, but I would just speculate that it would be tire smoke. Maybe not. We'll see. Maybe later on I'll get a chance to see what you're seeing.
Earnhardt and Bill Elliott both lap the number 52 car of Jimmy Means as we now have the view from our mountain cam on the outside of turns 3 and 4. Well, apparently our pit guys have checked with the Elliott crew, and they say there's no problem with the Coors 4. Could just be tire smoke. It certainly doesn't appear to be anything serious because Bill Elliott is hanging right in there in that 6th position. Rusty Wallace from St. Louis, Missouri, the Winston Cup points leader, is leading the Autoworks 500. We'll be right back. And getting through these these turns right now, a group of cars: Michael Waltrip, Dick Trickle, Morgan Shepherd, and Ricky Rudd.
Now, Ricky Rudd was pretty far behind that bunch of cars, Bob, and he has caught up to him, so the clutch problem or whatever that he was having seems to have gone away because he is running very good right now. Look at him slide through that pack of cars, or try to at least.
Inside the Quaker State Buick, just for a moment there, watching the action. He has Morgan Shepherd to his right, Dick Trickle ahead.
And 3 abreast. Jimmy Means on the inside. Oh, Ricky Rudd and Morgan, they made it through.
Well, Jimmy gave him plenty of running room. And Ricky's car is sticking so well down on the inside of the racetrack that he can just drive right there between them and went on.
There's Morgan Shepherd to his right.
You know, I can't understand that clutch problem straighten itself out, because once you get them hot, they have a tendency to never to come back. We saw the 21 car trying to cool their clutch off. Ricky Rudd slowed down, and obviously he's cooled the thing off well enough it is now getting a bite. But the next time he makes a pit stop, he probably will be reheating the thing back up, and whether or not he can finish the race is yet to be seen.
Cars that have dropped out of the race. Dale Jarrett has joined this group now, and he is pulling alongside of Morgan Shepherd, as Ricky Rudd now is alongside of Michael Waltrip, and Dick Trickle has taken off.
Good battle there. They're battling for about 11th through the 15th position.
Rudd able to get by. The car really working through the corners. As I mentioned a moment ago, the primary thing, the main thing, getting through the turns. And no one does it better in Phoenix than that 26 car.
You didn't see it on the screen, but add to the list of drivers that have dropped out of competition, Bobby Hamilton in car number 51. The young man who came here and qualified 5th for his first Winston Cup event. He's taken that 51 car behind the wall, and he has dropped a cylinder in that car. Inside Ricky Rudd's machine, that's Dick Trickle just ahead. Let's go back up front now and check on how Mark Martin is doing. The guy who came in 3rd in Winston Cup points, we're inside his car now, and he is right behind Hut Strickland. Last week, we showed you a feature on Mark Martin himself and how it's been an uphill struggle for him the last 2 years, but it finally paid off with the victory 2 weeks ago at Rockingham. Now we're going to show you a feature on the other half of this story, the Jack Roush team that put Mark in victory lane.
Jack Roush's interest in racing was piqued at a young age. After years of learning, the one-time hobby led him to stints with Ford and Chrysler in engine development. Later, he began to put his talent and a dedication into drag racing around the Michigan area in the late 60s and early 70s. But Roush's drive turned him toward road racing. Trans Am competition was his first taste of road racing in the early 80s, earning a manufacturer's championship in 1984. Since then, he has scored championships in each successive season, and his enthusiasm for the sport has increased.
I think we're all driven by primeval motivation that probably we acquire in my case, I probably acquired it, I think, from my father before I was 10 years old with some of the things he exposed me to mechanically.
After success on the Trans Am circuit, Winston Cup racing seemed the next natural step. With Stroh's and Ford's interest and support, Jack began to piece together what would become the Stroh's Light racing team.
He's a real good manager of people, and he likes to work with people who have a burning desire to do the particular job.
Competitive drive has a big bearing on the way a company works, not only a race team, but a company. And if from the bottom to the top, if an engineering company or a sales company has competitive goals and they're driven by competitive people, I think they're more likely to succeed.
With Steve Mill and Robert Pemberton in place, the search for a driver began. Lee Morris brought up the name Mark Martin, but Roush began inquiring about names like Allison, Bodine, Rudd, and Wallace. Then quickly changed his mind.
When I looked at the relationship between their concern over what they were going to get and make and what was going into the car, I decided to take a look at Mark. And Mark was as interested as I was in making sure that we got all the right stuff for the car and the team, and we built the right pieces.
With the pieces in place for the last year and a half, the Roush team has grown into a consistent force on the stock car circuit. But for someone with the expectations and goals of a Jack Roush, has that been enough?
Racetrack strategy and the execution has been my greatest challenge and frustration. We've had tires fall off cars at inappropriate times when nobody was really at fault except for the lack of chemistry and maybe effective communication between all of us. I'll even include myself in that. We went to Daytona in a situation where had a great car, and I ran the thing out of gas.
Just a couple of minutes ago, Jack Roush, Mark Martin radioed in. He said, how many pounds of fuel pressure?
He said it was down below 5 pounds, and we normally carry 6.5. We think that it just stacked up on the banking, but we think we're ready to go.
And Bill Elliott comes looking on the outside. Yeah, I wonder, is he out of gas?
I think he's just out of the draft.
No, I believe he's...
Maybe he is.
I believe he's...
Yes, he's out of gas.
What did you feel like when that thing sputtered right there in front of the start-finish line?
Like everybody that had been looking at me thinking that I was foolish was right.
But the strategy finally worked. Rockingham, North Carolina, 2 weeks ago, the Jack Roush and Stroh's Light team watched their driver, Mark Martin, take the checkered flag.
We expect that once we get through the door, we'll just knock it down.
Victory at last.
2 weeks ago at Rockingham, Mark Martin with his first Winston Cup race, and we are riding with him right now as he is in third position.
And here is the pit wall banner in Rockingham. October the 14th was Mark Martin Day in his hometown, Batesville, Arkansas. He couldn't be there. He was in North Wilkesboro racing. But they brought, oh, that's here. They brought the banner here, and it's still the banner. And all the signatures from the people in Batesville.
Let's go to Jack Arute for more on this story, Jack.
Benny, there were so many signatures that what they've done is they've got a roll of paper now with signatures on it, and according to Jack Roush, they would be able to banner each and every pit wall for the next 2 years. They're not quite sure how many signatures there are, but they said what they're going to do is at each and every race, they're going to try and put some of those signatures up from that Mark Martin Day to let the fans know how much they appreciate it. So there's a different set of signatures than there were at Rockingham, and we'll see them all next year as well.
Another great run for Mark Martin. He is in 6th position. He is behind Alan Kowicki, who is second, and the leader of the race, Rusty Wallace. 231 laps are complete, and we'll be back in a moment. Bob Jenkins, Benny Parsons, Ned Jarrett, Jack Arute, and Dr. Jerry Punch back at Phoenix International Raceway for the next to last race of the Winston Cup Series. And the leader is Rusty Wallace in car number 27. Now, back in the pack, another battle. Here is the number 10 of Derry Cope, the 94 of Sterling Marlin, and the 33 of Harry Gant. Now, Marlin has lost a couple of positions here recently.
And to one of those cars we saw him just a moment ago was Darrell Waltrip up in front of him there. You can see Darrell has been marching up through the field pretty good.
Riding with Harry Gant now. With Sterling Marlin just ahead and to the right.
Harry Gant not able to get going on the flat 1 mile racetrack like he did in Rockingham. The bank 1 mile racetrack back in Rockingham, North Carolina. He's on the outside of Sterling Marlin, trying to go by on the outside. It's tough duty on this flat racetrack. Not able to do it that time. Ooh, he drives up behind the side of it, down in 1 and 2. He may have the spot.
Yeah, I believe he has the momentum this time.
Derry Cope is running 8th, and then that battle for 9th position between Sterling Marlin and Harry Gant, and it continues. Now Gant inches ahead. There's Ricky Rudd behind all this. Meanwhile, here comes Darrell Waltrip up to challenge Dale Earnhardt for the 6th spot. And Earnhardt sliding high on the racetrack. But Darrell Waltrip unable to take advantage of the situation to move into 6th.
But Darrell is definitely running faster today than he has at any other point. I mean, faster at this point of the race than at any other point of the race. Early in the race, you know, he's back there fighting for 19th and 20th place. But now here he is up there battling for 6th place. So Jeff Hamlin, the crew chief, and the rest of the Tide crew have gotten that car working good.
And the last time we saw the 3 car, he was battling with Bill Elliott. Bill Elliott has gone by Earnhardt and pulled away by a couple of seconds.
Now, they're going to have pit stops coming up before too long. In fact, they last stopped sometime around 167, somewhere in that area. And they're talking about Rusty Wallace maybe coming in at about lap 246, and we're at 240 right now.
Now, Ricky Rudd, whom we are riding with right now, was in the thick of this battle until just a few laps ago when he came in for a pit stop. And we have a replay of the pit stop that he made just a few minutes ago. Now, you'll notice some smoke coming from under the car. That isn't smoke at all. That's a fire extinguisher that's being used to, there it is, to cool off the clutch.
You know, this is the first time I've ever heard of doing that. I guess you learn something every day, but I've learned something certainly on this day in Phoenix, Arizona.
So Ricky finds himself a lap down now.
But he's moving well, yeah. Let's go down to Jerry Punch, who was there when Ricky came in. Jerry?
Well, Ricky Rudd doesn't have a problem with the clutch, but his biggest problem is right here, this linkage rod here in the transmission. And let me show you. This part here goes to the shifter. This linkage rod here moves back and forth to bring the transmission in and out of third and fourth gear. Apparently, this rod here is broken on his car. This is an extra transmission they have behind the wall. And Wayne Baumgartner took this rod off this transmission. If we get a yellow flag, it will bring Rudd back in, jack the car up, take this rod, and put it on his race car so he'll be able to get it out of fourth gear.
All right, well, Rudd is certainly not showing any signs of anything being wrong. That car is running really well right now.
Yeah, it's running good. Of course, he has two new right side tires on it. That is one thing that's helping him, but he was running good before he went in the pits.
Rusty Wallace, our leader's coming down pit road.
So let's go to Jerry Punch for a call and a stop by the leader, Rusty Wallace.
This would be the last scheduled stop for Rusty Wallace. He'd be able to make it the rest of the way on fuel unless they were a yellow flag. The crew cam here for Jimmy Maycar, the right front tire changer. Right side jack going beneath the car. You see Maycar rolls the tire out of the way. Barry Dodson rolls in the new tire. He's slapping back on. Putting those lug nuts back on. Zap, zap, zap. Now Maycar out in front of the car. Once again a fuel in, things again a fuel in. He is down and away. Great stop for the Kodiak crew. 14 seconds.
14.2 as a matter of fact, Jerry, and the Kodiak Pontiac has what we believe will be its final pit stop concluded.
And I think he stayed, in fact, he did indeed stay in the lead lap. So if a caution should come out, it won't hurt him that much.
But the lead now goes to the number 7 car of Alan Kulwicki as Rusty Wallace has concluded his service, and there now is the leader, Kulwicki, who is trying to win his second consecutive race here at Phoenix.
They're about to bring Dale Earnhardt into the pits. Their crew is out on pit road waiting for him to come in. So green flag pit stops coming up.
Earnhardt at the moment running in 5th spot as we continue to watch the leader, Alan Kulwicki. Here comes the second place car of Mark Martin, Jackaroo.
Mark Martin comes down on the pit road, as does Dale Earnhardt. The crews are going to work. Taking a look now at Dale Earnhardt, they're changing the right side tires. Chocolate Myers has put in 1 tank of fuel. He's under the second tank, 22 full gallons. Let's go to Jim.
Mark Martin, Jeff Bodine, Harry Gant, all in at the same time, and Bill Elliott. All of them taking on right side tires, topping off the fuel. Here we watch again as he goes back out. Unique exit here from the pits. Morgan Shepherd is in, the Valvoline Pontiac. Dale Jarrett about to come in. Ride with Harry Gant.
I think that acceleration lane that we have here should be a must at every racetrack. It allows them to build up some speed before re-entering the racetrack. Here is Alan Kulwicki now, who comes in for his final pit stop of the afternoon. Jackaroo is right there.
Paul Andrews is leading the Xerox team to the right side. You can see they're going to make a chassis adjustment, taking a little bit of wedge out. They've completed the work. No, they've got a problem. They've got a problem on the right side. They hadn't completed the work on the right side when they dropped the jack. Meanwhile, they're going back to work on the left side. 19 seconds, 20, and it's just ticking away. Obviously, they're not going to be able to put him back out until they go and complete the work on the right side. This is so very costly for Alan Kulwicki and his team. Now the jack is stuck under the car. What a comedy of errors here. They've taken the second jack to the outside. They're jacking it up, completing the work. But this is just a lengthy, costly stop, and Kulwicki is just shaking his head. He can't believe it inside the car. 45 seconds and then some. They dropped the jack. 47.3, very costly.
And so it goes for Alan Kulwicki, who was among the leaders, but he doesn't appear to be going to win this afternoon.
Alan Kowicki's found all kind of ways to lose this year, and he found another one today.
Yeah. The leader is Darrell Waltrip in car number 17. He has not yet pitted. He was running in 7th position before the flurry of pit stops. He has not pitted yet, but should be coming in very soon.
And Kowicki's strategy was pretty good strategy. He was going to change 4 tires. All the other cars were going to change just 2, but he was going to change 4.
Here is the replay, and watch the rear tire. Now, you can see that they dropped the jack before the guy had the tire on the right rear of the race car. Oh, and look at Sterling Martin along pit road. He has fire coming from the front of that race car as we go back to live action now. When we pick it up, there is Sterling Martin. Look at the fire coming from the right front of that race car.
He has no brakes. He can't stop the car.
He's still on that pit lane, the exit lane, acceleration lane, as you call it, but boy, we'll see if he's going to bring out a yellow flag. Darrell Waltrip hasn't stopped yet.
Well,
and he would sure like to see a yellow flag right now.
That car is not on the racetrack. It is, as you said, Ned, in the acceleration lane. There is Sterling Marlin climbing out of the race car. And indeed it is. The race car is just going up in smoke. Still, however, right below us, we see no yellow from Harold Kinder.
And boy, that smoke, well, I guess it's not affecting the drivers down on the racetrack as they go into that turn.
Here comes a car that's trying to exit the pits. There he was. Derek Cope was trying to exit the pits and had to go to the grass to do so. Now, here's an interesting situation. That's Stan Barrett. There aren't enough pit assignments, pit lanes along the front stretch, and he is having to pit by actually backing up the car into another area. Well, you can see now that the fire has been extinguished on the Sterling Marlin car, and things beginning to settle down at the west end of the racetrack after an exciting moment for Sterling.
And Darrell Waltrip still has not made a pit stop. He should be coming in before long.
And we have not seen a caution flag, and there is Derek Cope, who is coming back into the pit area, and he has a problem on the right side of that car. Looks like the right front is flat.
Yeah, he had not made a pit stop, Bob, and it looks like he ran until that right front tire. Yeah, he was running in 2nd place, but the right front tire is flat.
All right, and now they begin to go to work on the right side of the Purelator car. Having difficulty getting the jack under it. Now they do. Begin to replace the rubber. Derek Cope with a fine run here this afternoon, and here comes the leader, finally. Darrell Waltrip is coming in for a pit stop, and that gives the lead back to Rusty Wallace. Jerry Bunch.
Tight crew waiting for Darrell Waltrip to bring that Chevrolet Lumina to a halt, as he does now, as Bill Wilburn and Jeff Hammond and the crew. Eddie Dickerson go to work. Dickerson has the right front tire off, a new one on, and Jeff Hammond now watching his crew work. Second can of gas going in. They are pushing the rear spoiler up. 12.4 seconds. Great pit stop for the new world champions, by the way, in the pit crew competition, the Tide crew.
As I recall, that's exactly the same time that it took Rusty Wallace to get service, 12.4 seconds. So Darrell Waltrip now comes out onto the racetrack once again, and there is the leader, Rusty Wallace. Oh, and Rusty spins. He was hit by Stan Barrett. He's sliding against the wall in turn number 1. Unbelievable. And this is the type of thing we were talking about at the beginning of the show. Things were going so well for Rusty Wallace. That very well could be $1 million right there.
Boy, and the car is not moving now. Yes, it's moving now. I don't think he's going to lose a lap.
Mark Martin picks up the lead, and here is the situation again that we talked about at the very opening of the show. Mark Martin with things going his way.
Takes advantage of the things that happen. Let's look at it again. As they go into the turn, Rusty on the outside of Stan Barrett, car number 90, and Stan tips him on the left rear quarter panel, and it sends Rusty around, and boy, he said, oh my golly, this is not what I needed. And he backs it into
pretty
the wall.
good contact with the wall.
Yep.
Oh, and look, Rusty just barely able to avoid the cars as they went by.
The toe-in is knocked out on the car. The question is, how bad is it? And will Rusty Wallace be able to continue in this race? Well, some real excitement here at Phoenix. We'll take a break and be right back. The yellow flag is out, and pit stops are being made here at Phoenix International Raceway. In the center of attention is the Rusty Wallace pit. He was hit by Stan Barrett, slid into the wall. There is considerable damage to the left rear of that race car. Jerry Punch, are you in the vicinity?
Yeah, we're here, and they're looking at a lot of sheet metal damage on the left rear and also the left front, where he has scraped apparently the wall, and Jimmy Maycar beating with a sledgehammer, trying to beat some sheet metal away. See the crew cam there where he is pounding with that sledgehammer, trying to beat the left front fender away from the tire. The biggest concern, though, is the chassis part. How much is the toe in, or how much is the actual angle of deflection of the front tires affected by his contact with the wall? The sheet metal would be a very minimal problem here because aerodynamics are not that important. But apparently the Kodiak Pontiac is bent up both in the left front and the left rear as he's down and away.
Rusty Wallace back out on the racetrack. We'll see how that car performs after taking a slide into the first turn wall here at Phoenix. Under yellow, because of that, the track crew is checking the area down in turn number 1. So we'll take another break from Phoenix International Raceway. Back at Phoenix, where the caution is still out, the number 17 car of Darrell Waltrip is the leader of the race. We are under caution because of an incident down in turn number 1 involving Stan Barrett and Rusty Wallace, who was leading the race at the time.
And as it went into the turn, he backed off to get into the turn. Stan Barrett just barely touched the left rear quarter panel. It sent Wallace spinning around in the Kodiak Pontiac. It backed it into the wall.
And Rusty Wallace has made a couple of pit stops. Now, earlier, here was a situation on pit road when Sterling Marlin brought his flaming race car to a halt on the acceleration lane. Jerry Punches with Sterling.
Well, Sterling has climbed out. Unfortunately, he was not burned in that break. Sterling, what happened?
Looks like a rotor come apart, Jerry. He made a pit stop, but went out and heard something pop going around the corner, and so he went out on back straightaway. It, felt like it blew the tire out too, and then it had no brakes. It was on fire. Had a good time.
Did you know the car was on fire?
Well, a spotter told me when I went to stop in the pits, come back in and hit the brakes and didn't have none. And, I figured they busted the caliper too. And I knew it'd be on fire because all the sparks and stuff. But, the snow cone car run real good, but we just can't have no luck. Run top 5 there at Rockingham, got in a deal with Dale and Rusty, and run top 5 here all day. And, this deal happens. So if it ever turns around, gets good, better watch out.
Sterling Marlin out of it here at Phoenix.
All right, thank you very much. Good to see that Sterling Marlin is okay. Still under caution with 261 laps completed. ESPN Speed World at Phoenix International Raceway today for the Autoworks 500, and the problems continue for Rusty Wallace. He has come in again, and now he goes down a lap. He had continued to stay on the lead lap since his incident, but that right there put him a lap down. And now look at the battle for the lead. Bill Elliott has gone into the lead, passing the number 17 of Darrell Waltrip, and now Mark Martin challenges Waltrip for second. And he has second. Bill Elliott is the leader of the Autoworks 500.
Well, we didn't see much of him in the first 100 laps or so, and then he crept up into the top 10 and then into the top 5, and now he is the leader.
And we see Ricky Rudd on the inside slowing dramatically. He's had problems all afternoon. Looks like his day is just about over, and certainly over as far as winning is concerned.
Bill Elliott now with a couple of car lengths advantage on Mark Martin. Bill Elliott finished 4th here at Phoenix last year.
Running in 3rd place is Waltrip. 4th is Terry Labonte. Dale Jarrett is running in the 5th place, and 6th is Jeff Bodine.
And here's a replay of how Bill Elliott grabbed the lead from Darrell Waltrip.
Coming off turn 4, he gets inside of Darrell Waltrip down the front straightaway, absolutely neck and neck. Into turn 1, and watch this, go up the hill. Darrell Waltrip had no choice but back off. And that gave, when he did back off, he gave Mark Martin the opportunity to dive inside of Darrell.
So Elliott still has a lead, and now a battle. Oh, Jeff Bodine and Dale Jarrett touch, and looks like Jarrett and Dale Earnhardt also come together.
It was just a slight bit of contact between the 29 and the 3.
Now, Dale Jarrett only took on left side tires on the hardest Pontiac. Of course, they had stopped not long before that last caution and took on right side tires, but he's now running in 6th place.
And a replay again. Watch these two cars come in contact with each other going into turn number 1. Just a slight contact there, but again, that is enough sometimes to do major handling problems to the car.
Yeah, and I think Dale Earnhardt got into Dale Jarrett just a little bit there, too. So he said, boy, they come at me from both sides. Or both ends, I should say.
There is Bodine, and there are the leaders. The number 10 car of Derry Cope is back on the lead lap. Is at the tail end of the lead lap. The leader is the 9 Coors Sport Thunderbird, driven by Bill Elliott, and then the Stroh's Light Thunderbird of Mark Martin running in second spot. 270 laps completed, so we're only 42 away from the checkered flag. That number 10 car, driven by Derry Cope, had a great run going for a while until problems.
He had a flat tire and had to go all the way around the racetrack on the flat tire and lost a lap. But right now he is on the tail end of the lead lap, but Bill Elliott trying desperately to put him a lap down, and Mark Martin wants to get by Bill Elliott. What about 2 in a row for Martin? Would that be something?
Boy, and wouldn't that really tighten up the points race? Because you know about Rusty Wallace's problems. He hit the wall a few laps ago and is really struggling now. He's going to, of course, try to finish the race and pick up as many Winston Cup points as possible. But if Mark Martin should win this race or even finish several positions ahead of Rusty Wallace, the 3-man battle for the Winston Cup will be oh so tight when we go to Atlanta in 2 weeks.
Boy, they're running tight on that racetrack, too.
We're inside Mark Martin's car as he chases down Bill Elliott.
Now, you see, they only cleaned the left side of the windshield. The right side is still pretty dirty, but he's just looking out the left side. And that might even help him a little bit going into turn 1 with the sun in his eyes. Maybe don't glare quite as much with that dirt on the right side.
We have mentioned throughout the afternoon how bad it becomes in the late afternoon looking into turn number 1. Now, watch. This is the area of the racetrack. It becomes really hard for the drivers to see because of that sun. They're looking right into the sun. It'll become even worse as the afternoon goes along. That's Ricky Rudd to the left now that Mark Martin and Bill Elliott have both passed. The number 27 car of Rusty Wallace has lost a lap. Jerry Punch is down in the Rusty Wallace pit. Jerry?
Well, let's check in and get a damage report from the chassis expert here, Jimmy Maycar, who's been trying to work on the car. They're very frustrated here in the Kodiak pit. Jimmy watching Rusty as he goes by here and make sure Rusty makes it through that corner. Jimmy, how bad is the car hurt? What's wrong with it?
Well, right now, the toe end's knocked out. We haven't got a chance to get it completely back. It's still towed out pretty good on the left front, and the camber's knocked out the left front. So it's, all the geometry pretty much in the left front corner. Something's bad up there. We're not sure what it is. All we can do is fix it, fix the toe in it, try and get as good as we can. Hope we get a couple more caution here. We can get back, at least most of the front.
They aren't giving up at all here. They're hoping for a yellow flag, maybe try to get their lap back, and maybe even have a shot at winning it. It's a no-quit team.
Well, they're going to keep Rusty out there and try to put him in a position where he can finish as best he can, but I think any chances of him winning are down the tubes this afternoon because of that incident in turn number 1.
Bob, wonder how many of the fans out there watching realized that Jimmy Maycar, that Jerry Punch was just talking to, is my son-in-law.
Really?
Yeah, he sure is. He married my only daughter, Patty. We're real proud of him. He does a good job.
He certainly does. The leader of the race is Bill Elliott. Second place belongs to Mark Martin. In third position, that orange and yellow number 17, driven by Darrell Waltrip. And fourth place is Terry Labonte. Now, here's another story. Labonte started second, dropped way back, and really wasn't a factor at all. But now he finds himself in contention, running fourth, and we saw some smoke from Jeff Bodine's car coming off the fourth corner.
Yes, we did. We saw a good bit of smoke coming from the Levi Chevrolet. Now,
lots of smoke down the turn.
And there it is, Jeff Bodine. We had a shot of it just a moment ago. Here he comes, Jeff Bodine, with a lot of smoke coming from that race car. None evident. Yeah, there is too. On the left side, there's smoke pouring out of the exhaust head.
Yeah, that's internal problems in the engine. Boy, Earnhardt wants to get away from him. He doesn't want him to spin in front of him. Jeff staying out on the racetrack. Earnhardt's going to get on by. That's a relief for Dale Earnhardt. That moved Earnhardt into 6th place. Jeff Bodine was running 5th. Dale Jarrett now has moved into 5th. And boy, look at that smoke. Dave Martin's coming up on him now. Any car that's behind him said, just let me get by before you spin, before that thing dumps, in case it does come out from under me and spins out.
The next fellow that's going to worry about it is Rusty Wallace, because because he's only about 10 or 15 car lengths behind Bodine. And that's all he needs now. He's already crashed once. He certainly doesn't need to hit again.
Well, Jeff Bodine getting the black flag this time around, so that means he's going to have to bring the Levi Garrett Chevrolet in the pits.
And Jeff was running 5th when his problems developed. There is Rusty Wallace trailing in that smoke from Jeff Bodine's car. So the situation regarding the point leaders, it is Mark Martin who is running in 2nd position. He's 3rd in Winston Cup points. Dale Earnhardt is 6th in the race at the moment. He is 2nd in Winston Cup points. And the bad news for Rusty Wallace is that he is down a lap after having been involved in a crash in turn number 1 just a few laps ago. Back in a moment. We're in the closing laps of the Checker Autoworks 500 from Phoenix International Raceway as the 1989 Winston Cup season winds down. The leader of the race is Bill Elliott in car number 9. Running in 2nd position is Mark Martin in the blue car number 6. And then in 3rd position now is Terry Labonte. 4th is Darrell Waltrip. And in 5th position is Dale Jarrett.
Terry Labonte, we haven't seen him move this far. He was almost a lap down before the green flag pit stop started a little while ago. He had not made a pit stop when the caution came out, so he remained in the lead lap, and that's how he got up there. He made a good pit stop, and now the Budweiser Ford running the best we've seen it all day.
And there are only 30 more laps to go in this race.
Bill Elliott showing surprising strength. I guess, again, another team that's been adjusting all day and seemed to have the car as good now as it could possibly be. Mark Martin, a Stroh's-like car, who has been showing some considerable strength, not able to close up on Bill Elliott. There we see Elliott cruising along.
He has twice visited Victory Lane in the 1989 season. He won at Michigan and he won at Pocono. And from our mountain cam, you can see how there is a little bit of a haze over the speedway at the moment because of the smoke that was coming from the Jeff Bodine car and some smoke that was coming from Ricky Rudd's car. Bodine has pulled his car behind the wall. And Jerry Punch is with him. Jerry?
Well, Jeff, looks like your car had to be one of the strongest here all afternoon, but then the big plume of smoke, and we can pretty much guess what happened.
Wow, the engine broke. Yeah, we were running really good. We developed a little push. Our tires were going a little off on us, and the chassis got a little tight. Weren't quite as fast as we were that one run. The car was perfect that one time. I pulled off and led the race quite a while, but it was a good run for us. This track is awful hard on engines. You have to pull a gear to get you off the corner. To keep up at the other end of the straightaway, turn a lot of RPMs, and we've had a tremendous amount of valve problems this year. I don't know exactly what's been the problem, but the valves have been breaking, and we've dropped valves, and that appears to be what happened today. Something broke, went down in a piston, it looks like, and we were putting out a pretty good cloud of oil, and smoke, so we had to get in here, get out of the way, let the rest of these guys do some racing. It's been a really good race. I wish I was still out there, but here I am standing talking to you.
Jeff Bodine says so long here at Phoenix Raceway.
All right, thank you, Jerry. Meanwhile, back out on the racetrack, it's still an interval of about a second and a half between Bill Elliott and the 6th car of Mark Martin. Some racing going on behind these guys. Number 33, Harry Gant. The 30 car of Michael Waltrip. 88 is Jimmy Spencer, and that is for 8th, 9th, and 10th position as we're looking out back the Harry Gant car. Alan Kulwicki also right there, but he is not on the lead lap. He is on the lead lap. Yes, he is on the lead lap.
Oh, there was some contact between Spencer and Michael Waltrip.
Boy.
And we see some smoke out of the right side of Michael Waltrip's car. I don't know if that's engine smoke or tires revving or what exactly it is, but there's pretty serious smoke out the right side of Michael's car. Well, I don't see it now as they go down in turn 1. Yeah, there it is.
There it is. Pretty evident.
Michael's able to get by the Spencer automobile, the Crisco Pontiac.
Jimmy falls in behind Michael coming off the 2nd corner. To see how bad the glare of the sun is as we look out back to Skoll Bandit. There's Alan Kulwicki in number 7, who had a disastrous pit stop a while ago. Now look here, Terry Labonte is about to take second place away from Mark Martin. He just drives right around him with ease.
Yes, he does. He got it beside him coming off of turn 2 and really took a move. And let's go to the pits and Jack Arute for more on Terry Labonte.
And then, as you see, there's newfound strength with Terry Labonte in the Budweiser Ford. Remember that about the halfway mark, up until then, he had no radio contact with his crew. He was unable to tell them what was wrong with the car so that they could make any sort of chassis adjustment. When he finally got Richard Petty's helmet on, he was able to radio back to Junior Johnson and Tim Brewer and tell them what to do. Just a good indication of just how important it is in 1989 to have radio communication with your crew in a 500-kilometer contest.
Boy, that is a really interesting story, but Terry Labonte is really going. And speaking of hats, throughout the entire year, we have had the feature of Benny's Hat of the Week on our Winston Cup telecast. It's a surprise to me from week to week. Here's Benny.
When we started doing the Hat of the Week segment, David Howard from Johnstown, Pennsylvania had a wonderful idea, but he couldn't draw. But he found Tom Sugars, an artist. He took the beautiful Bethlehem steel hard hat, painted, looking through the front windshield, looking through the driver's window, and looking through the rear window of an automobile, painted on the hard hat. Wonderful job. Next Saturday night, the Michigan Motorsports Hall of Fame is having their annual induction dinner, and they're going to auction this hat off at the induction dinner. Fellas, we appreciate the hat, and you can tell they love ESPN.
All right, the Hat of the Week from Benny. The crowd here today, 65,000. There were 38,000 yesterday for the Southwest Tour race, a total of 113,000 for the weekend. There's just been all kinds of racing here at Phoenix International this weekend. We mentioned the Southwest Tour race yesterday, the Winston Cup race today, and look at this. This was yesterday before the Southwest Tour race, a bed race. We had 16 corporate sponsored teams vying for bragging rights and a trip to San Diego. And all this was being done to raise money to buy adaptive equipment for the physically disabled. The teams raced approximately 150 yards, each team made up of 4 bed wheels and a driver, and had to encounter 2 obstacles. So something for charity here at Phoenix. Going a little bit faster here in the Winston Cup race is Bill Elliott. He is on his way to victory in the Autoworks 500.
Here comes the 11 car. Let's don't forget about Labonte. Look, Dale Jarrett has caught the 17 car of Darrell Walter. This is for what, 4 spots?
Dale Jarrett having a great run. He's running in 5th at the moment, but if he can pass Darrell Waltrip and go into 4th and finish there, it would be Dale's best finish ever in Winston Cup competition.
I'll tell you, we come at a good time, Bob, when he's looking for a ride. He's been talking to a lot of people and just trying to do whatever he can to make a showing for himself. Jack Arute's in his pits.
Ned, you're looking at the guy that really accounts for a lot of the strong run, Doug Williams, who's been voted the TRW mechanic of the race. Remember Jerry Punch told us earlier in the day that they had something saved up for this team today, similar to Martinsville? Doug, you've really put a number on a lot of people today.
Well, I tell you, the hardest Pontiac's been performing real good all day. We'll just get in track position. There towards the end, we need to tighten the car up, so we'll put the left sides on and tighten the car back up.
Well, he's won the $1,000 from TRW as the mechanic of the race, but believe me, this Hardy's Pontiac team would like to make it to victory lane.
Well, Dale has had several good runs this year. He, of course, was an outstanding performer in the Martinsville race, where he led a great deal, finishing in 5th. And other top 10 finishes this year have come at Atlanta, where he was 9th, and he was 7th at Pocono. So Dale Jarrett trying to cap off a really good season by finishing in 4th position. The leader of the race is still Bill Elliott. And there are now 301 laps completed. We've got 11 to go. Jerry Punch with a comment on Bill. He's losing the lead, though, Jerry.
Well, tough break. Bill is finally getting on the racetrack. But you mentioned the fact about charity with the bed race yesterday. What happened Friday night here, many people may not know about it. In fact, there was a celebrity auction Friday night at one of the sports bars to donate money to physically disabled people at Good Samaritan Medical Center. The highlight of the evening was a driver's suit donated by Morgan Shepherd. Now, Bill Elliott, who was on hand, outfitted everyone else there for that Morgan Shepherd driving suit, and then presented that suit to 18-year-old Sam Edwards, a physically handicapped race fan from nearby Apache Junction. And there wasn't a dry eye in the house. Bill Elliott really has a lot of feelings for these race fans.
There is a lot of community spirit surrounding this race. There really is a lot of corporate and community involvement in this event. Now, I misspoke when I said earlier he's losing the lead. Bill Elliott isn't losing the lead, but he's losing his advantage. That's for sure, because you can see now how close Terry Labonte is from Bill Elliott.
Yeah, he's definitely closing in, no question about it. As he comes across the start-finish line, Terry comes across. It's only 75/100ths of a second, and not too long ago, Terry was about 2 seconds behind Bill Elliott, so he is closing in. Does he have enough time? Only 9 more laps to go.
Terry Labonte has won once this year in Winston Cup competition. That was at Talladega. He was 3rd at North Wilkesboro a few weeks ago. He was 14th 2 weeks ago at Rockingham. Bill Elliott, meanwhile, continues to hang on to the lead, coming down to complete lap 304. There are 8 laps to go. Running back in 3rd position, here comes Mark Martin.
And it looks like Darrell Waltrip and Dale Jarrett might be closing in a little bit on Mark Martin.
Now, Dale Earnhardt is running in 6th position. So we have Mark Martin in 3rd, Dale Earnhardt in 6th, and the number 27 car of Rusty Wallace has lost a lap and is running back in about 17th position. So that's the way that the points are going to shake out in this event. Now here come the number 17 and 29 cars behind Mark Martin. That is Darrell Waltrip, and right behind him is Dale Jarrett.
Dale had moved up pretty close on Waltrip a little while ago when we were watching the race, but he's dropped back a little bit now, and not too much of a challenge. Running in, you mentioned that Earnhardt's running 6th. Dick Trickle is running 7th, Harry Gant 8th, Michael Waltrip 9th, Jimmy Spencer 10th, Alan Kowicki 11th, Morgan Shepherd 12th, and Kenny Schrader 13th. Those 13 cars in the lead lap.
Schrader, the pole sitter, he will not win the Unocal money, and so it will go up another $7,600 for 2 weeks ago, from 2 weeks from now in Atlanta. There is Dale Earnhardt, who is in 6th position at the moment in the GM Goodwrench Chevrolet car number 3.
You know, it's unbelievable that NASCAR racing always ends up with a race like this with a checkered flag.
Now this is interesting, how the points would be if the race were to end right now. You can see that Mark Martin would go into 2nd place, put Dale Earnhardt back to 3rd, and that battle for the Winston Cup will go right down to the final race. Mark Martin continuing to take advantage of other people's mistakes, taking nothing away from him because he's always running up front, it seems, but today he got a break when Rusty Wallace was hit by Stan Barrett. The 2 cars collided down in turn number 1. Rusty slid into the outside wall, affecting the handling of that car, and Mark Martin is going to be the one that picks up most Winston Cup points here this afternoon, and there he is.
And you know, Ned and I both talked about that at the beginning of the show, but the way Rusty was running and he had no one around him as far as the fast car is concerned, I had no idea that it was going to happen like it did. Unbelievable how it happened.
And it just goes to show you that anything can happen in Winston Cup racing, and so don't fail to be with us 2 weeks from today in Atlanta when we see who comes out on top of the Winston Cup points and wins the $1 million. There are 2 more laps to go for Bill Elliott and Terry Labonte.
Well, Labonte is really driving his heart out in that Budweiser Ford, trying to catch the Coors Ford of Bill Elliott, but I don't think he's going to have time.
You said there was 2 to go, but I think Harold Kinder's holding up 3. The scoreboard does say 2 to go. Okay. If I'm not mistaken, Harold Kinder's holding up 2. We'll see.
Well, yeah, we're going to see, because if the white flag doesn't come out this lap, then there are going to be 2 more laps to go. And indeed, that is the situation. Now are 2 more laps to go. We completed lap 310. So 2 more miles for Bill Elliott and Terry Labonte and the others. Meanwhile, it's a battle also between Mark Martin and number 6.
And a spin up in turn 4. Jimmy Means is spun, but he gets it going back straight ahead.
And he's the only car involved, and his car is high on the racetrack outside of the groove. There the leaders pass below, and there's going to be no yellow flag. Instead, the white flag falls for Bill Elliott. Jimmy Means has the car rolling once again. So now we're in the final lap as Bill Elliott from Dawsonville, Georgia, looks for career win number 32 in Winston Cup competition. He's through the dogleg on the backstretch, still maintaining the advantage over Terry Labonte, and there is Hut Strickland ahead of him. Here they come off of the 4th corner. Bill Elliott still with about 5 car lengths direct advantage on Terry Labonte. The checkered flag falls, and Bill Elliott wins the Autoworks 500. Terry Labonte finishes second, followed by Mark Martin, Darrell Waltrip. Then comes Dale Jarrett and Dale Earnhardt.
Dick Trickle finishes 7th, Terry Gant 8th, Michael Waltrip 9th, Jimmy Spencer 10th, Alan Kowicki 11th, Morgan Shepherd 12th.
What an unbelievable finish.
The third win of 1989 for Bill Elliott, and there is the crew as they celebrate Bill's victory here at Phoenix, Arizona. Bill Elliott, 5th in the point standings going in, and let's go down to Jerry Punch, who's in the Bill Elliott pit.
Well, the elder statesman of the Elliott clan, Ernie Elliott. Ernie, earlier in the week, you didn't really have much hope for this car. You weren't real pleased with bringing the car out here, but hard work paid off.
Yeah, you know, everybody stayed with it. I mean, that was a big thing. You know, first thing I got to do is thank the good Lord, because we had a good day, good safe race. Nobody got hurt. Everything was fine. But, you know, we just stayed with it. Everybody stayed after it. You know, this Coors Motorcraft crew never gave up all day long. Everybody just worked as hard as they could go. Made adjustments that we had to make, and it paid off.
Well, it certainly did pay off. A 19-second four-tire stop early in the race gave Elliott a chance to run up front, and he took advantage of it. Bill Elliott picking up his third win of the year. Bob?
All right, let's take a look at the top 15 as we go to break before we interview the winner of the race. Bill Elliott is the winner. Terry Labonte second, followed by Mark Martin, Darrell Waltrip, and Dale Jarrett. 6 through 10. Earnhardt, Trickle, Gant, Waltrip, and Spencer, and there's 11 through 15. Welcome back to Phoenix International Raceway. Let's go to Victory Lane for our Winner's Circle interview, being brought to you by the Sears Die-Hard Battery, now with more power when you need it most. Jack Arute.
Well, Bill Elliott, it goes to prove that if you just keep on working and working and working, you can come to Victory Lane.
I'll tell you what, at the first of the race, I thought I'd be lucky to be in the top 20 at the end of the day. And, you know, the guys kept working. We never give up. We kept messing around with the wedge and messing around with Steiger. And as the day went on, the car got better and better. But I believe a track changed and just helped us. It just seemed like everything we did, you know, for our Thunderbird, just made it work better and better as the day went on.
Was there a point in the race where you really began to say, hey, the car is starting to come to the racetrack or vice versa, and I've got a legitimate chance at this thing?
Well, I really didn't know, because Rusty and the 7 car really went on, and I couldn't tell where they were at. But Jeff and the 6 and 3 and several other cars, I was running right there and with, and those times I was better than they were. And it just happened. The last set of tires was a real good set, and I got out in front of everybody. And then Labonte came on pretty well, but he was, by the time he got through traffic, I believe he used his tires up by then.
Back in Daytona, 30 minutes into the first practice of the year, you broke your wrist, you had problems, you've really climbed back up out of a hole. A great way to go into the tail end of a season, maybe give you some momentum for 1990.
Well, I just hope we kind of get some momentum, you know, in front of the hometown crowd in Atlanta next week or in 2 weeks, and then, you know, really start out with a good 1990. I'm really looking forward to that.
How about Atlanta? You know, last year you took a lot of flack from competitors. They said, you know, oh, he's stroking his way to a championship. You get to go back there without the hassle of the championship. Have you got something laid up for everybody?
Well, I think a shoe's on the other foot now, you know, as far as Rusty and Dale's concerned. Rusty's got to run hard, but yet Dale, you know, it's going to be a good race there between the two of them, and I'm really looking forward to that, because I'm going to look at it at a different position. But, you know, I can go and run as hard as I can, and hopefully I can get the car working as good as it did here today. And, you know, with the crew I've got, and, you know, with the good help of Coors and Harry Melling up in Jackson, you know, without people like that, I couldn't be here.
Bob, there'll be a heck of a Victory Lane celebration all the way back at the Dawsonville pool room tonight. I can guarantee you that.